Well, look out now. This thing says we're live. I don't know if it's right or not, but that's what it's telling me. Good afternoon, everybody. You guys let me know if the audio's coming through out there. I think it is, but we will see. Monochromatic light source, Demon Orb, Bill Devitt, Earth is Life, Facty, Judy Bassett, hello. Played NASA Shills, Farmer's Boy, Anamorphic Mind. Yeah, I already got Demon Orb, I think. I know I got Farmers. All right. Hey, good to see you guys. I thought we had so much fun last night. I thought we might just do it again. Why not? And I am over in the Discord. Let's see. Paid NASA Shills. You ought to be able to join down there in YouTube Live. I'm going to move you. There we go. Are you, can you hear me, buddy?
I hear
you. Yeah, there you go. There's Farmers up there in 24/7. Can you move down to YouTube Live, Farmers, or do I have to move you? Try putting yourself down here. Yeah, we're still working out the kinks. Chill. Well, I'm gonna move him. Maybe I still got something messed up. I think I figured out what some of the trouble was last night. I think I had the limit in this voice channel set too low. Actually, I didn't even realize I had a limit set, but I did. So there you go. Hey, Farmers.
It's still showing the padlock though. So does that mean that we can't just jump in and you have to drag us in?
You should be able to jump in. Try it. Give it a try and see.
Okay, let me test that. I'll jump out and see if I can come straight back in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're back.
Yes, I can. All right. Okay.
I thought so. Yeah.
So
I thought I got that. Huh?
Or or does that just keep the undesirables out?
Yeah. It's a private. Well, it's a private chat thing. But certain categories in here have got permission to join.
Gotcha. Yeah. That works. That makes
24/7. Anybody that can get into the server can get into that one on that 24/7 general chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the way that works. So you guys are out there are more than welcome to join us in here if you want to. We're just going to have a little impromptu, unplanned fun for the afternoon. And let's see if I could possibly find a Discord link in case anybody doesn't have it. I think that works.
That'll do it. That should do it, yeah.
Anyway, what have you guys been up to?
I had to go to work, which is kind of important because I started my new job today, so I've had a day down in their office. And I saw Jose was going live, and I thought, no, I'm still in the office. I haven't got home yet. So I managed to catch it. Well, that is the downside of it, But that's only it's only 1 day a week. So the rest of the time I'm either going to be here at home working or I'm going to be out on a site somewhere. So it was nice to come at the tail end of this stream, and it was all very relaxed and obviously a bit silly. They're trying to work out how to measure the distance to the moon the flat Earth way.
Oh my God!
Bloody great! Yeah, a big tape measure.
A big tape measure.
Yeah, well, you can see only direct measurements are allowed. You can't go using things like lasers. Although flat earthers, as I pointed out, flat earthers love using lasers. Why can't we use a laser to shoot the distance
they
to the
love
moon?
using lasers.
Yeah.
I have one of those laser measuring things.
So do
It
I.
relies on the two-way speed of light. Works
Correct.
really well. It's just as accurate, maybe even more accurate than my tape measure.
I've used them for surveying stuff. Yeah, and I'm generally inside buildings, and a lot of the time, yes, I could measure it with a tape. It's only a few meters away, but sometimes it's so much easier to use the laser. You know, it's just so convenient, and they're accurate. You know, the one I've got is it's accurate up to the sort of distances I'm measuring. I mean, if you're inside a building, the chances are you're not going to be measuring over 100 feet. You know, unless you're in a dirty great big warehouse.
Well,
why
of course
is a tape measure? Go ahead, Blue.
Of course, we've been measuring the distance to the moon with lasers, since the 1960s. So
yes,
yeah, it's not like that's an abnormal process.
What is more direct about a tape measure than a laser measure?
I think they've got to reject anything that debunks they're not a model. So they out all this bullshit about space being fake and the moon isn't what we think it is, and it's closer than we think it is. But they don't actually have a way of measuring it, whereas we do. So obviously, our method of measuring it has to be rejected.
Because you can do this yourself. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe not yourself. You need to be a ham radio operator, but you can do Earth, Moon, Earth, EME, or moon bounce. You can do that yourself. It's not that difficult. You can determine that it's a round trip of 2.5 seconds to the moon. And if you aim it just a little bit off the moon, it doesn't bounce back. So there's no dome out there, no firmament or anything.
I know, but that goes against everything they believe in. So it just has to be rejected.
I get you.
You know how they work. Everything has to be rejected. But they're truth seekers.
Are they now?
Well, there are different values of truth. That's the problem. Let truth equal n. What is the value of n? Well, it depends who you're talking to. You know.
When you say flat earthers, you're talking about an oxymoron. When you also call them truth seekers.
Well, moron anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You don't need the oxy bit.
Yeah, you're half right.
They're all morons.
Yeah, they got the moron part now.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hello,
bloody!
My
Who let
God,
that through? Christ, there goes the neighbourhood.
yeah, absolutely. How you been, man?
Okay, so Blue, I listened to your little video a couple of days ago with the morons trying to set up a party.
Oh.
What's wrong? What's wrong with them?
How long have you got?
We don't know. We have no idea what the hell's wrong with them.
I mean, I've been to museums, art, science museums. You don't go there to play rock and roll.
No.
No, you sure don't. That's the kind of thing that some heathen like Rakia associates this with college football in the United States, and that would be something you guys might not understand, but it's kind of, especially in the South, but pretty much anywhere in the country. During football season, they do these tailgate parties. And if your team is playing at home, right, then everybody that can fit in that general vicinity shows up, and they cook hamburgers and hot dogs and drink beer and pitch tents and have music playing and all that kind of stuff. Okay, well, that's fine for a damn football game. You don't do that when we're talking about a low-key just visit to the physics department to look at an experiment like Cavendish, that whole idea was just so bizarre, so ridiculous. It was what it was, and they can try to shine some other light on it. But the fact of the matter is, all they were doing was trying to be a pain in the ass and disrupt it. That's really what it came down to. That's Knoxville's not exactly the most centrally located place in the world. You don't just wake up and say, oh shit, I'm in Knoxville. So I didn't think I was going to get a lot of response. I thought I would get a lot of response, and I did. And I got a hell of a lot of people that said, hey, I'd love to come, but that's an awful long trip for me. I just can't make it. So I really wasn't, out of 2,600 views, I got 2 people that said, yeah, I'd like to come. Well, that's really not making it worth it. And Rakia and his buddies over there are still trying to say it's not true, but it is true. The other thing that's happening is very shortly after that. Actually, we've got a date set, and I'm not going to say when it is. But that laboratory that Cavendish is sitting in right now, the one you see it in the pictures that I show. They're remodeling that. They were supposed to do it last year, but they couldn't get around to it before classes got started. So they decided to put it off until the summer. That's about to happen. So that's the other thing. Cavendish, we've got to take Cavendish apart and move it temporarily to a storage location while they remodel a lab, and then we'll put it back together. So sometime later in the summer, it'll be back up and running again. But given the horse shit that was going on with Bev and company, the best thing for me to do was what I did, which is just simply cancel it. I got a little bit of criticism about that. Some people were of the opinion that you don't let them push you around that way, and I sort of agree, but I don't. It wouldn't bother me a bit, and if they want to try to come pitch a tent in my front yard, I'll be glad to talk to them about it. But I'm not going to suggest they go do that at somebody else's house. And that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether it was genuine or not, but that's not a risk you can take, really, is it?
It was not genuine.
But Bev doesn't even live in the country. And he said he'd be going. Well, that'd be great, wouldn't it? That's nice, isn't it? Oh, shut up, Bev.
Yeah, Bev was never going to go.
No,
well, he could afford it. He could afford it now if any of that money's real.
Yeah, that's the other. Well, whatever.
Did you buy me some subs? Did you? That's nice. Sean Hawkins in the chat says, well, I lost it. Where'd it go? He said Rocky is a soccer hooligan at a chess match.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah.
That's about right.
They're bad enough at a soccer match, bloody hell, let alone at chess.
I think they very adequately demonstrated the depth of their character, which is not very deep.
We need to tell Dorian there's a difference between football and soccer.
Not over here, ain't.
I know.
Well, yeah.
This is Blue talking. He's from Tennessee.
Over here, we've got like 4 different codes of football.
Yeah.
Well,
we do. We've got
an American football.
No, we've got soccer, AFL, rugby league, rugby union, and gridiron.
Oh, you're counting the 2 rugbies. Oh, right. Okay.
It's a gridiron.
Well,
because
they're not the same, mate.
I know they're not.
Is gridiron?
One's got more cauliflower ears.
Yeah, that'd be union.
Is gridiron American football?
That's what it was originally called.
Okay, just asking.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
This stream is now saved. I'm here.
Oh,
hello, Lyle.
How did he get in?
The increased.
Yeah, Rose, I'm smarter than you. Leave me alone.
That's only subjective.
Yes, I'm subjectively smarter than you.
Blimey, look, Stingray's out in the chat, and he's without a spanner. He's naked.
I fixed him. He's fixed.
Oh, he's fixed. You fixed Stingray.
I already fixed Stingray. Yeah.
Cool.
How was the trip to the vet?
The vet. He didn't go to the vet. 2 half bricks. That's all you need.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Can't have Stingray running around out there without his clothes on and stuff. There he is.
Damn straight.
Yeah,
there he is.
He is the inventor of the Pushytron.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd go from being Stingray to Captain Scarlet.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
What strange things have been going on in the flat Earth world today? Anything of use? I saw a bunch of the hooligans populating Jose's chat for a while. They were in here last night.
Nothing, because the flat Earth doesn't exist.
Well, we know that.
Australia beat America again for another prize. Mitchell from Australia winning top leftist.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Not top leftist, just top left.
Well, it was Australia first. Britain a second.
Hooray, Rachie!
Yeah, fuck's sake.
I don't know. I think in pure quantity, there's more American flat earthers than anything else. Although I do have to admit that Australian flat earthers have to take the cake as being the dumbest of the dumb.
We have the best. Okay, I'll just list off the best that we have. Scotty Stool.
Yep.
Flat Earth Aussie Jesus.
Yeah.
Mitchell from Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, he won.
Merlin Beauregard.
Oh, God, Merle.
I was just going to ask who is stupider, Merle or Rachie?
Rachie, because she believes everything Sleepy Dum Dum says.
Merle's just tripping out.
Then there's who's the other Page?
Oh,
yeah, Page. Yeah.
What page are you on, NASA?
Right, we've just named 5, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And it made everybody cringe.
Yeah.
Dell.
I'll trade them all for QE, okay?
Dell's the coolest one.
He's the thickest of the lot.
Yeah, but he's over here. He's on the same bloody lump of land as I am.
Yeah, but Google can't even translate his English.
Of course I can't. Nobody can translate that.
He drives Google crazy.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, watching him with the subtitles is quite amusing.
Yeah.
I'll have to do that. I haven't thought about doing that.
Yeah, his accent is so broad that Google really struggles to translate
we did it. Yeah, we did it like 2 years ago, and it couldn't even decipher him saying the words Patricia Steer.
No. I will admit he has got a very. It's unfortunate that the part of Scotland he's from, the accent is quite strong, and he's got a strong version of it. It's quite a. I'm not surprised that Google struggles with him.
I thought he was from Glasgow.
Exactly, Glasgow.
Oh,
it's one of the it's one of the harsher sort of Scottish dialects, I guess. But a lot of Scots they have 2 forms of English. They have their natural Scottish, and then if they put on a posh voice, their English is understandable. Most Scots, and certainly the ones I've spoken to on YouTube, have admitted to that. If you hear them in their normal dialect, you'll struggle to understand the bloody word they say.
Right then. So what's Bev's problem? He doesn't understand English.
I have a theory, but I don't know whether I want to say it.
I win. Any time when he would come into Gems, I would ask him if he knows what a datum point is. He'd just What are you saying? What are you doing? What are you saying? Horizontals, words, things. Like, dude, datum, point. It's a singular point of which you take all your measurements from. That is datum. It could be a line. It could be a point.
Yep.
Do you know what it is? No, he doesn't know what the fuck they are. Sorry for swearing.
No, he doesn't. And you've got to bear in mind that, he says he's trained as a surveyor. Well, he sat a 2-year course. One of the lessons was ground surveying, and that was over 30 years ago. So what's he actually done with it since? Has he done any surveying? Doubts it. Can you remember half of it? Doesn't seem that way.
We use a laser level at work to level off retaining walls, put fence on top of, right? So it looks freaking straight and parallel and level, right? But we can do step downs with those. So we can drop it 100 or 200 mil, right? But unless you understand how to use those laser levels, what are you doing with the theodolite?
Does he even have a theodolite?
I don't think he does.
I don't believe he does. I don't think he's ever had his hands on one, honestly.
No.
Does he know you can do the same? Oh, sorry, Blue. You can do the same with a spotting scope.
I know.
You get a theodolite.
I have a certain Bridget Welney. Because Rumpus had got one. He got a spotting scope and a. This is an auto level or theodolite. I can't remember now, but anyway, I think it was an auto level.
Well,
spotting scope and a P1000.
Oh, you mean the worst camera to try and do a long range observation with?
Oh no, it's a great camera. Just ask anyone on the flat Earth. It's just they don't make the P900 anymore.
Yeah, they ended up making the P950.
Yeah.
Is that better or worse than the P1000?
It's a Nikon Coolpix, dude.
All the same thing, just a bridge camera. Yeah, they 900. Then they bought out the 1000, and then I think after that they made the 950. You can still buy the 900. I just had a look on Amazon, 700 quid.
Yeah, but it's a Coolpix. You understand Coolpix? It's a budget camera.
Right.
Yes, it's what they call a bridge camera.
It's a really expensive bridge camera.
Bridge camera. I've got a very cheap version of that. I've got a BX 500 or something, fraction of the price of a 900.
With a really tiny sensor about the same size as the one in your phone.
That, yes, and therein lies the problem. Our P950 is going for 850 quid at the moment on Amazon. What's a P1000? Oh, come on.
Are you saying they've got a teeny weeny short sensor?
Yes,
it's a tiny little sensor.
Yeah, it is. Oh, the P1000 is going for 1,050 quid at the moment on Amazon.
Jesus Christ, that's like $2,000 Australian.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're careful, you can buy yourself a decent camera with interchangeable lenses for that sort of money.
Yes.
I could go to the local pawnbroker and get a Canon EOS model for like $500.
Yeah.
I was going to post my little old camera with a 1 megapixel sensor that I got to specifically for one trip, because I was going to carry it in my jacket pocket and not care if I fell over.
Yeah.
But I went looking for a picture of it. I found that Leica is now offering a camera, a little pocket camera, for £16,250.
Oh.
What?
Leica. Anytime you put Leica on something, it immediately costs double.
Oh, I bet you it does 4K space footage.
Yeah, it probably does. I mean, it's probably a great camera. It's Leica. The lenses are what get you.
Oh, actually, speaking of which, Blue asked if there was any updates. You know how they're launching some civvies up to the ISS this weekend?
Oh, yes, they are, aren't they?
That some idiot in Gems goes, "Are they filming it?" It's SpaceX. They film everything.
Yeah. They almost have cameras to film the cameras. You know, they're not shy in filming stuff, are they?
Oh, now
Yeah.
that Elon owns 9% of Twitter, it's going to be all over Twitter.
Well, mind you, though, when they sent that first lot up into orbit, they didn't actually have much in the way of live footage, did they? You know, when they had troubles with the onboard toilet and everything.
What with the crew, Dragon Crew
Yeah.
capsule?
Yeah, they.
Yeah, because they were more worried about the systems than
Well,
footage.
no, I thought they had contracted with one of the TV channels, to only show it on that channel.
Oh, was it Netflix were doing a series on it? Oh, I think that that would be why it wasn't live, because they obviously wanted it all for later on. I forgot about that.
Oh, speaking of other conspiracies, remember what they said about all of us that got the pointy thing in our arms?
Yes.
The time frame they've given us is the same time frame as us landing man on the moon again. So, and I said this, I said either we're all like half the population is going to cease, or we're going to all move to the moon. It's
No.
getting close. They're preparing to launch the first run this year.
Well,
The test mission.
Hey, why not
Yeah.
both?
Yeah, that's May, isn't it? I think the shit's still scheduled for May at the moment.
Yeah, no, they
They
have
haven't
to
yet.
see if the vehicle will launch.
Yeah. Well, they're doing they're trying to do the wet run at the moment, aren't they? And they keep coming up with little problems, which is the whole point of doing it, is to get through the problems now.
Which is the whole reason you do tests like this.
Correct.
Well, they know
Rather
it'll
than
launch.
putting people in it.
They know it'll launch. The question is, how much of it will you get back?
Yeah.
And how soon?
Will it get to the moon, go round it, and come back?
Yeah, going up is one of the easier
No
parts.
blue. No blue. The measure is how far it spreads out on the way up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and how many frames are missing?
This was also a question with the Russian nuclear threat. Now that we've seen how well our ground forces are performing, you have to wonder if he does give the order and the people ordered to push the buttons and turn the keys and so on actually do it, how many of those things will go up, and how far up will they go, and how soon will they come back down? Because it would look really silly if 90% of them just either fizzled or blew up in the silos, and 90% of the rest of them got up about 1 kilometer and then fell back down, and the only ones that made it up sort of took 3 left turns and came back home. That would look very silly indeed.
Hang on, you think the flat earthers are going to critique Russia? Really? Anytime I bring up Roscosmos, they hide.
And they probably
That's
should.
because Sputnik is watching them.
Yeah, actually, I hope we don't go through that test. That would be
Me too.
You got fun for 15 minutes, and then pretty much it's over.
I'd rather it stayed hypothetical.
Flat Earth is hypothetical. It's just a theory.
Well, I don't know. Is it hypothetical or just pathetical?
It's apathetical.
Not even a defensible hypothesis.
Oh shit, Larry's here.
No, flat Earth is hypothesis.
Quick, turn the lights off and pretend we're all out.
What are you saying? Larry's like a T-Rex. His vision's based on motion.
No, he's like the rent man. Just let him ring the doorbell. No, hopefully, if his nuclear weapons don't work, then they're all submarine launched, and all they'll do is try to leave a hole in the ocean. Let's just hope it never comes to that.
I do You don't use them like a shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say hello to everybody out in the chat. Thanks for showing up. We're just going to have a little
Hi,
fun this
chat.
afternoon. Sit around and chit-chat a bit, I think. I gave the stream a title, something like Level is Not Horizontal.
Yes.
I don't know
Oh,
why
thank
I
you.
was
You said level. I thought you said little, and I was worried
no,
about
level.
that.
No. Level.
Oh, it's nice, isn't it?
It's good to be in here, though, and not have a big fight going on. I do get tired of that
Yes.
part.
But yeah.
You
That's
mean you
not a
don't
whole
want
lot
us
of
to
fun.
start discussing pineapple on pizza?
Well, you can. Okay, that'll start a fight. I guarantee you right now.
Yeah,
That'll
Can
that'll
you
do
kick
it.
him now?
It's no kicking. No kicking.
There's plenty of room
Oh.
for pineapple on pizza. It's called in the bin.
That's actually my biggest problem with the idea of the ham and pineapple pizza isn't putting pineapple on a pizza. It's that the ham and pineapple pizza was invented because pineapple is associated with ham.
Right.
But the reason that pineapple is associated with ham is that people put rings of raw pineapple on cooked or raw slices of gammon, really old, really chewy, tough ham.
Yes.
Because the protease enzyme in the pineapple juice seeps down into the meat, breaks down the proteins, and softens it.
Yep.
But if you put a chunk of pineapple and then a 2-inch gap and then a chunk of ham and then a 2-inch gap and then a chunk of pineapple on a pizza and stick it in the oven, that ain't happening. And then the heat in the oven denatures the enzyme. So even if the ham and the pineapple come together later, it still won't happen. So, spreading them out separately on the pizza defeats the whole point of associating the two together.
You just scienced the shit out of the argument why pineapple shouldn't be on a pizza.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Shout out to
Too
Earth is
logical,
Life.
though.
Got a $5 super chat. I gotta read this one out. Okay.
Oh yeah.
From Earth is Life, and he says, Blue, I think what you've done with Cavendish and it now being on display in a university is the greatest thing that has come out of this community. Well, I don't know if that's quite right, but I am quite happy to see it down there. And it's not just on display, it's being used. And for anyone that hasn't heard about any of it yet, they've run a limited number of tests, and much to my dismay, they actually got better numbers than I did. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's probably in a better place in their garage, so
Those damn. I'm telling you, those damn smart ass PhD types. I think they're
you
cheating.
get a bunch of grad students in
They
there.
got.
They have more hash marks than their slide rules.
No, but it takes what it takes is a backyard engineer to make the apparatus that they can get all their fancy numbers from.
Shades of Edison.
That's a good device.
Well, they ran all the data through some supercomputer and much more data. So yeah, they just beat it with brute force.
Actually, they played fair. They analyzed the data the same way I analyze my data. Exactly the same. And got a little bit. Well, they got within between 0.4 and 0.5 of 1%. I got about 0.6. So that's pretty.
Wow, you're talking
pretty
about
good.
a tenth.
Yeah.
Come on, Blue. It's not a race.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, they still beat me. Damn it. That's not.
It's a matter of pride, isn't it?
Yes. Brilliant students shouldn't beat the teacher. Damn it.
Well,
Besides, you have a bunch of students that don't have anything else to do.
there is that.
Yeah.
Think of it like this: the Chinese people that invented black powder, right?
Yep.
They didn't realize the problems that was going to cause. I think you're going to cause some problems, Blue.
No, I don't think the world's in danger of having Cavendishes blow up or something.
Oh, dude, your Cavendish might create a black hole like CERN.
Well, don't cross the balls. That's bad.
Oh, actually, that was something that, like, I got frustrated at your video, Blue, was listening to them giggling about your balls touching.
Yeah, I know. A little ignorance goes a long way, doesn't it? It's amazing.
Yeah, but they criticize us when we start doing locker room talk, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do it all the time.
The ridiculous stuff you'll hear from, and I have to just shake my head when they start that, is their nonsense about that very last test when we just got lucky or unlucky, as the case may be, and that earthquake occurred in Haiti that morning, and I mean it was live, and the video's still up. You can go watch the thing. We were all confused. Nobody could understand what the hell was happening. We were 2 hours into the stream before reports started coming in that there was an earthquake. But I couldn't think of anything else that could be causing it, honestly. It was something that balance never does unless you bump into it somehow. So something rattled it. I didn't know what it was. But they make Bev in particular makes a huge deal out of that. And then makes insulting comments about the, what's he call it, a seismoma dish or some bullshit like that. Just showing his ignorance.
He does like making words up, doesn't he?
The original seismometers were torsion bars, weren't they?
Yeah, well, they were torsion balances. Yeah, it was a little different style. But let me do this real quick. Shout out to Don Giovanni, $10 super chat. Blue, I didn't have a proper job when you were building and running Cavendish, so now that I have proper work, have a tenner on me. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Very
Good
cool.
man.
Yeah. Yeah, the original, one original design of a seismometer was something similar to a torsion balance. It had a torsion wire, and it had a mass suspended in the center of the torsion balance of the wire itself, and that was used as a method of detecting vibrations in the earth. So, you know, it wasn't curious to anybody that the damn thing could do what it did. It's just amazing that, you know, it was as sensitive as it was. That we actually saw something almost 2,000 kilometers away from here.
That goes back to not crossing the balls there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Don't cross the balls. Why not? Is that bad? Try to imagine every vector triangle in your body turning inside out all at once. Total frame of reference shift. Okay, don't cross the balls.
Yeah.
But there is
I thought you said don't cross the balls. Cross the balls, cross the balls.
A frame of reference shift in the seismometer. When you look at it, you see that at that point, that pen swung back and forth across the paper like mad. Because that weight swung back and forth because of the earthquake. That's not what happened. What happened is that weight sat still while the whole machine was shaken back and forth underneath it.
That's exactly what happened.
I don't even know how do they drive cars?
I don't know. We should just point to all the experiments that they followed through on.
They use the Braille method of driving.
No, but you just have to release the handbrake and then the earth would move under the car, wouldn't it? Because the wheels turn.
Yeah.
Come on, Demonic. I sometimes wonder how they can manage to breathe and walk at the same time.
Right. Why they don't swallow their tongues.
Well, the breathing bit's easy. It's an autonomic process, so they don't have any say in the matter.
But have you noticed when they're doing their lives and they're walking, they seem out of breath, almost like they can't coordinate opening their mouth and inhaling?
Yeah. Yeah, I know somebody who does it.
How is it you can be really smart at regular day stuff, yet when it comes to the fact that we see sunsets and sunrises, you think the Earth's flat?
I think an awful lot of things that they do day to day is just repetitive, learnt by rote. You don't have to do a lot of thinking to do it. And I think when it actually comes down to thinking, that's where it all goes horribly wrong.
Well, a lot of them, I don't know about the Australian and English flirts, but a lot of them in the United States are just fundamentalist Protestants who read the Bible and say, well, the Bible says, therefore it must be true, therefore everything else is fake that, they goes
Young
against
Earth
it. So,
creationists.
yeah, young earth creationists and the like, basically fundamentalist Protestants. And for reasons that have to do with history, a lot of them are based in the southern United States.
I
Kent
actually went
Hovind.
back. I actually went back and listened to some of Cool Hard Logic's videos last night before going to bed.
They're
And the
just
fact
brilliant.
that when he, in his first video testing flat hards, within the first 5 minutes, it's got Cosmoholy book. I'm like,
Yep.
yeah, that explains all of it.
And his repeated character of Cletus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He put Cletus in because of Mark Sargent.
Yeah, they're still some of the best videos I've ever seen. They really do stand the test of time.
His
unfortunately.
first testing flat hards videos got 2.5 million views from 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, he was the first guy I ever saw. I was actually shopping around on YouTube looking to see if I could find any cool woodworking videos, and I saw Cool Hard Logic and something about flat Earth, and I thought, what the hell? I'll watch a little bit of this and see. And I think 27 hours later, I had watched every goddamn one of them from beginning to end. And we're starting back through for the second lap,
Yeah.
And then he also did homeopathy. He did homeopathy as well, and they were funny. He did 3 of them. And it's just, it all ties together. Snake oil.
Yeah, snake oil. Absolutely. Nothing but.
They don't know the history of snake oil. The Chinese brought it over when they were making the railways in the 17 or 1800s in the US, but they used it for joint pain.
Yeah, it was 1800s.
Yeah, but the Chinese used actual snake oil. Like it was actually a remedy that they had for aches and pains and sore joints and whatnot, like arthritis medication, sort of.
Yeah.
But it was some American who ended up putting like methyl and a couple of ingredients together and saying it was the same thing. So America is the original snake oil salesman.
I do not doubt that.
Bastard. You bastards.
Hey.
Well, that's why
Everybody-
us in New Zealand send you the crazies. We sent you Ken Ham, and New Zealand gave you Ray Comfort.
Actually,
And we
let's
really
face
don't need any foreign crazies here in the United States. We grow them up internally quite well. Thank you.
NASA.
Kent Hovind thinks flat earthers are stupid.
Yeah, well, he's just a different stupid, isn't he?
Well, yeah, but I mean, when Kent Hovind thinks you're stupid, you've really got to be doing something wrong, haven't you?
Yeah, how bad is that?
Yeah, I'll disagree with Ken Hovind on most everything, but he doesn't read the passages that they say. I mean, Answers in Genesis is the same thing. They say, hey, they're pretty much crazy, but they don't go that crazy.
Yeah.
We have our limits here at Answers in Genesis.
You sure about that?
Well, they don't think the Earth is flat. Other than that, they're right in there with the rest of them.
Well, I'm pretty darn sure the Earth's not flat.
I measured it 3 weeks ago now.
What have you done, Blue? Oh, that's right. You've done Eratosthenes, Cavendish, gas pressure without a container. Oh, you've done nothing.
Yeah. What do you know?
Exactly.
Have they gone
I'm
back
still-
to? Is that a container or not? I mean, is a cup a container of water, or is it?
They can't seem to make their minds up.
Anything
Oakley,
with an
Oakley moves in and
opening
out of
is
it, depending on what day it is. Open pipes are, or maybe not, a container for gas. You never know.
anything with an open top. It is not contained.
So glass isn't a container for water.
Well, their mantra was that it had to be a closed container. It had
Started
to be.
out like
and
that,
then,
yeah.
And then Blue did his demonstration with an open bit of pipe, and then all of a sudden, for no reason at all, they changed it.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen the one where they put the what's that heavy gas? It's bromate, sulfate.
No, sulfur hexafluoride.
Chloride
Chloride. They put
in
that
the tank.
Yeah, they put it in like an aquarium, and then they float a little aluminum foil boat on top.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But that's contained, which it's not. It's in what's known as a receptacle. In other words, it can both receive and deliver something without restraint.
Yeah, well, if you go back and look through the history of the videos, particularly Nathan's, they always maintained that you had to have a closed container to have pressure, and thereby atmospheric pressure was only there because it was in a closed container. And you can see this right up until the point where Blue did his video with the pipe, and then they changed it. Then it was just a container. It wasn't a closed container anymore. So they will change their story dependent on who puts out what video and shows how stupid they are. And then they'll deny it ever having said, oh no, it has to be a closed container. That is now stricken from their memory.
I'd propose that we take a really big piece of pipe and some nice heavy gas, like maybe sulfur hexafluoride or something heavier, and go in a mine shaft out in West Colorado, and just if we could maybe even get long enough, we could pull a vacuum on top and actually demonstrate. But then they'll just say, oh, that's a fake gas, or it's not a real gas or something because it's man-made.
Well, here's an easy one. Why don't you just go to Greenland where they get methane mist on the ground?
Yeah, that'd work too. Temperature.
Yeah,
Just
but
use
it's methane.
CO2?
It's a gas.
CO2 will do it,
right?
CO2 will do it too.
Yeah, but you can't smell it.
The problem is
In Africa that, if I'm not mistaken, burped one day and killed an entire village.
It did. That's right.
Well, you're talking about those lakes down in where are they, Africa or something, or South
Yeah,
America?
somewhere
Africa is
down
what
there.
I know of.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. With the
Minor
CO2
landslide
comes
at one side hit the bottom and started some kind of like the serial pancake on 9/11, but serial overturning of the lake bed,
Right.
where it knocked a piece loose, and that turbulence loosened the next bit, which released a load of CO2, which created enough turbulence to loosen the next bit, create a load of CO2, and a river of CO2 overflowed the lake banks and flowed down into downstream into the town and killed everything.
Yeah, the fix for that is kind of interesting. You just get a big piece of pipe and you sink it down to whatever depth you need, and then just let it release itself slowly.
Oh, it's called off-gassing. Anyway.
Yeah.
I do that all the time when I raise a chicken.
Well, I thought the big source of the CO2 was actually dissolved in the lake water, and when the lake water got disturbed, then it just came out like a shaken soda.
Right.
And so the fix is just to put an aerator just to keep the some turbulence going, and the CO2 wouldn't concentrate.
Well, it has to do with pressure, of course, because the more so at deeper pressures, some of these lakes are really deep. So at deep pressures, they can get more carbon dioxide in. But You get a disturbance. That's the problem.
Mm. I do like the argument that Earth must be flat because the oceans aren't carbonated.
Yeah.
Oh, carbonated. You can demonstrate pooling of CO2 in a much smaller scale. You can float tea lights. Only just, but they will float. In a big bowl of Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper or whatever you prefer there.
All right.
And they'll float there and burn, but if you dump in a load of sugar fast enough, it displaces the CO2 from solution, and the CO2 will fill the bowl and suffocate the tea light candle.
Oh, how dare you do science? Jim had an argument for an hour with Jin over the term "you can't science, bro."
Oh God.
What? What was
Yes.
I'm
Gin?
glad I was at work.
Oh man. Okay, we're getting ridiculous now.
Arguing anything with Jin is ridiculous and a waste of time.
What do you mean getting ridiculous now? It's been ridiculous for 5 years.
I know, but
Yeah.
that's a new height, low. I mean,
Low.
it's sort of like this the typical flat Earth argument of, hey, let's define something narrowly. Let's, there's something that has like 20 definitions. Let's pick one of them and use it all the time, like level or flat.
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
don't understand verbs, adjectives, or nouns.
That's correct.
Is the word you're using the doing action? Is it the descriptive? Or is it the naming? What is it?
Well, when Jen joins the conversation, I just have to leave. I can't listen to him.
No.
No, you got to be mental like me to stay in there.
You're just a
I can so-
masochist, aren't you?
I can sort of listen to chemo a little bit.
No, I can't.
Well, no, farmers, it's because I have bipolar disorder. One, it helps my mania. And it stops me being depressed because I realize there's people more stupid than me.
Yes, yes, I can. Yes, if you think you've got it bad, just listen to these morons. Yeah. But no, if I'm not in gyms very often now because I just can't. But if I'm in there, if chemo comes in, it's a bit like when Lemon appears in Jose's Hangout. Chemo comes in, I go out. I can't listen to the guy. I can't stand him. He's a complete waste of oxygen.
I think Chemo's actually got a job now because he's not in there as often.
Wow. Miracles
He
do
may
still
have
happen
been
then.
forced- I dare say his NHS welfare probably got cut.
Yeah.
Chemo has a job. Really? Doing what?
Yeah, because he's not coming in. Yeah, he's not coming in until like the evenings.
Yeah, that's a bit of a giveaway then. If he's out during the day UK time, yeah, he's having to go out and work. He's not been able to get himself a job where he can work from home.
That or he's got that Flat Earth Friend Finder app and he's going out during the day to rob people's houses.
Hey, that's a good idea. Let me make a note of that.
Yeah, shout out to Auditing the Absurd for £2. Chemo is a troll. Oh, you betcha.
Hello,
One of the
Ranty.
biggest.
Oh, did you hear they said Ranty's back on the flat Earth?
Oh God.
What?
Who said that?
I guess what happened was they actually they believed that video he put out on April Fool's Day.
Oh dear.
Of course.
Of course they would.
they did.
Of course they would.
Did the same thing, didn't he, on that same video?
Yeah, but how are you supposed to, like, you're looking for the truth, you find out one piece of truth that changes your mind. Oh, you're a shell.
That's how it always is.
But he was the greatest defender.
You were never a real flat earther.
But like Conspiracy Cats made a whole like musical montage for him. Like we needed a hero, and that hero was Randy.
Yeah. Anti the Globe Earth hero.
Now I'm just waiting for Brandon to come out and do the same thing
Yeah.
Actually,
after his hiatus.
Yeah, Conspiracy Cats has a dilemma. Like he's run out of flat Earth to do.
Well, that's why he started his other channel.
Yeah, I know, but like this is we keep hearing him going, "Oh, more people are coming into the the debunkers are running out of shit to debunk."
Mm.
Well, there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of no name, I'm going to debunk him right now. He has a name. He's lying.
Well, not really. You can just go to you can just go to Facebook. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of stuff on TikTok and Facebook to debunk.
That's where they're getting it from, but there's plenty of debunkers on TikTok. Trust me.
Oh, yeah.
I've mentioned to some of them. Do you know who Nathan Thompson is? They go, "No, who's that?" That's how irrelevant Nathan Thompson is.
I bet
where
you
is
can't
Nathan?
debunk my mad dance moves on TikTok.
Oh my goodness. I don't even want to see that.
Hey, I unboxed my ass on TikTok. Right?
What?
You did
On
what?
that note, I'm going shopping for food. See you later.
No, I got my coffee mug, right, from the Australian Research and Space Exploration Department. The acronym is ARSE, right?
They do that on
Arse.
purpose.
I unboxed it. So
Arse.
technically, I
There you
unboxed
go.
my ass.
There's a university in Texas, the University of North Texas, and they have a coffee mug with a black handle. If you observe it from certain angles, it says a word that you're not supposed to say, at least in the United States. I understand
I'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah, that one.
Ah,
And
being
I understand
from
in
Texas.
Australia, you can say that a lot better than we can here.
Oh
Being
no, I'll
from
see you in
Texas.
the NT. Sorry, I got it wrong.
Being from Texas, I once wanted to attend a Sam Houston Institute.
They had an uncle that actually had a diploma from there. It was wonderful. The Sam Houston Institute of Technology.
Good old SHIT.
Yes, you betcha.
Wow. That's funny.
That's nice. I like that.
I was an inmate there in San Antonio for about 6 months.
No name has just been given the gift of what I called Mabbit one day.
Hey, when you guys were mentioning the flat earthers from Australia, you forgot to mention Bandsaw.
Oh,
Hey,
Bandy.
hey,
Yeah.
leave Bandy alone.
Good
Bandy's
old
a good guy.
Bandy.
I like Bandy.
He's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Bandsaw.
He's funny.
He's the only flat earther to ever go from flat Earth to globe back to flat Earth.
Yeah.
No,
Wasn't
well,
that over a
I guess you'd say from globe to flat Earth to globe and then back to flat Earth. Because you know how all flat earthers say they used to be globers before they were flat earthers.
Yeah, they all say that. Yeah. That's the standard spiel.
I'm looking for the show because it was actually on Sean G's stream when he actually went back to the globe. He literally admitted it and said it live on one of his shows. But I can't find it.
God, you're going to have to go back a bit for that one.
Yeah.
I remember it, but it's been a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's buried in one of those 3 or 4 hour streams somewhere.
Yeah.
There you go. I just put my ass in the live chat.
Oh, yeah.
Oops.
I did something cool this morning. I was as I was getting ready for work, I saw that the ISS was passing over the UK. So I recorded it, and then I went to I think it was GOES, one of the GOES satellites, and just to try and see if the clouds were the same. And lo and behold, they were the same exact clouds.
Well,
Just
Funny
when
how-
the
and that's
ISS
the
are a lot closer.
Oh yeah,
Funny how
isn't
that
that
works.
strange? Yeah.
Oh, those clever
well,
bastards at
they-
NASA, man, they can whip up some clouds in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I know, man. It's
Totally realistic looking.
that real time rendering
Yeah.
from two different sources.
CGI.
Well, we've got to attack this level and horizontal nonsense at some point. I just feel obligated.
I saw that you got a video. You got a video coming out, Blue. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, we
About
need to.
level and
we've-
horizontal.
Yeah, we gotta really get into that. I mean, it's taken Bev and his crowd what now 3 or 4 months to try to prove geometrically that the Earth is a flat thing. Oh, it's not
I
flat.
think it's
though.
been.
It's got terrain. I forgot about that. There's hills and bumps and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's been longer than that. He's been claiming level is horizontal, and he can prove it.
Oh, yeah, but he's been going through these through his logic horse shit and all of his silly proofs and stuff. So I think it's only fair that we ought to concoct an answer to that, other than bullshit, which is the proper response. But still, I don't know how that guy thinks. I don't know how any of them
I don't
think.
know. I don't know how he can claim to be trained as a surveyor and then
They're
think
literalists.
the way he thinks.
He's not
You
trained
know
as
his
a
name,
surveyor.
right? Yeah, but Blue, you know his
Yeah,
name.
we know
Bev,
his-
try.
Yeah.
Try thinking. Yeah.
Try, yeah.
He's trying.
Yeah,
Sure, he's
well,
trying, all right.
like I said, just remember that he took a 2-year course that covered general building construction. One part of that 2-year course was ground surveying. No, it wasn't. He didn't spend 2 years. No, he was at college at about the same time as me. I was doing what they call a BTEC or an ordinary national certificate. It's a 2-year course. I was doing building services design. He was doing. I'm trying to remember. It's something along the lines of general building studies or something. It's of construction. Part of that was doing ground surveying. Not yeah. But and his story is that they did more of it than usual, and that he excelled, and several of them excelled at it that much that their tutor on the BTEC ONC course decided to give them a GCSE in surveying.
That's not how that works.
No, it's not how that works. But all of this happened. When was I doing my ONC? This would have been round about 30 years ago.
But if you're doing a course outside of high school, how are you getting it? What the fuck?
You can study GCSEs and things outside once you've left school.
Yeah, I know, but when do they teach construction at that sort of level?
Oh, thank you, biggest dog. Yes, he was doing it. It's once if you've left school, and like I did without doing A level. So I left school at 16. I'd got what they now call GCSEs. They were called O levels. You could then go to college, and the next thing you could do, and its equivalent of A levels, is what they called the ONC, the Ordinary National Certificate. Now, if they were construction orientated, it was called BTEC, and I can't remember what the BTEC stands for, but that basically covered, building technology, engineering, and construction. I think it was.
Yeah.
So that's what both me and Bev did. I think I'm a year older than him. I think I was a year ahead of him. But he went and did building studies, and I did building services design. So, construction related, but totally different. Because he said to me, "Oh, didn't you get a certificate, a GCSE in surveying? Why would I? I wasn't studying surveying." Surveying is not part of what I do. I'm an engineer. I'm not a surveyor. You know, I was
Be
never taught surveying.
be careful on this engineer thing. Like, and I'm sorry, I'm going to piss you Americans off, right? Here in Australia, you don't have to go to university to become an engineer.
But you don't hear in the UK either.
Technically, you don't have to go to university anywhere to become an engineer. You just have to pass the testing done by the that Institute of Mechanical Engineers or Institute of Electronic Engineers for your chartered engineer status. You can literally do that. You don't need a degree.
That's to get chartered engineer status, but you don't have to be chartered. I'm an engineer. I'm not a member of SIBS.
No, but technically, to call yourself an engineer, you're supposed to be chartered.
Not down here, we don't.
No.
It's not so big in the UK, but it's very pushed in the rest of Europe.
Because the majority of the people that you see building large metal structures are not part of any little club.
Yeah, but it's that especially European and German distinction between technician and engineer.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. In the UK, in Australia, you can get away with calling yourself an engineer without being chartered.
Well, I am an engineer. My actual certificate calls me a metal fabricating engineer.
Right.
It's known as a
That's a
boilermaker.
complete
Right?
fabrication.
It can.
Well, this is what's funny because like the initials of the actual certificate is FE.
Oh,
So
fabricating
you're a
engineer.
flat Earth
Okay.
engineer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, did you look it up, Blue?
Well, there's all kinds of things, all kinds of different areas you could be in the U.S. anyway, and use the term engineer as part of your title. The one thing you cannot do is call yourself a professional engineer. If you are a professional engineer, you have to have a PE license.
Yes.
And that most
Why,
assuredly
as a professional
requires,
sanitation engineer, Blue, I'm going to have to disagree.
and that requires specifically a degree. You have to pass the engineering training test, and then you've got to work in that field for a period of time, 5 years, I think it is. And then you get to take the PE exam. Differs a little bit from state to state, but not much. That's generally what the requirements
Is that the
are.
one
So
where you got to climb a rope?
climb a rope?
Yeah,
Only if you're
the PE
scared.
exam.
No.
No. They had to climb up that
That's
knotted
the
rope.
other P. That's the other
Oh,
PE
damn it.
exam.
I've been listening to that other
Yeah.
engineer, Jeremy, too much again. That's what it
Yeah,
is. My
that's
bad.
Yep.
yeah. Yep. Nope, no ropes involved.
I remember when I actually did my welder certificate theory. I never went on to do the welder cert, but the amount of science behind the techniques in metal fabrication is just phenomenal. I never thought I'd hate the word nodule. All the little grains in aluminium, steel, stainless steel, they're called nodules. All those little lumps, bumps, or craggy things.
Yep.
When you heat them up, they move, they shake, they change their position.
Of course they do.
I'm a thermal electrical manipulator.
Yeah.
You can call me them.
You are a magnificent manipulator of molten metal. That's what we call it.
No, I'm a wibbly wobbly welder.
Or Boilermaker if you wish.
Oh, those boils get itchy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, old Boilermaker I used to work with. He goes, they don't call us a Boilermaker because we make boilers. It's because we keep sitting on cold steel and cold concrete. And we get boils on our ass.
Oh yeah, that happens too, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it hurts. Well, okay,
Yeah.
so say you're doing something that's you're doing a multiple run on something about 3 meters long, and all you've got to sit on is either checker plate board, another beam, or concrete, and you're just sliding along. You're not allowed to have your bucket there because it might catch on fire, right? You got to get on whatever you can.
Or get a metal bucket.
Depending on where you are, you may not be able to fit your bucket.
Yeah. There's Judy Bassett in the chat saying I like Boilermakers. Judy used to work for a boiler company. She worked for a U.S. boiler company called Babcock and Wilcox. We finally referred to them as the Cox brothers. Sorry, Judy. Just kidding. I worked for a competing company actually called Combustion Engineering. But Judy worked on the boilers and I worked on the air pollution control stuff. So 2 different ends of it.
Yeah.
Oh, so you worked on the end cleaning up process for what comes out of the boilers.
Yeah, well, yeah, you put nasty shit in one end and really nasty shit comes out the other end. That's right.
Yep.
That's what happens to No Name.
Look out now. Shots fired, No Name. Be careful.
It's Lou D. Chris.
Yes. Yes, he's changed his name again, hasn't he?
Yeah, I've been around the Boilermakers all my life, though. I like those guys. And the ones that actually do welding on boiler tubes those guys know how to do magic. There's no doubt about that.
Well, the trick is to keep moving.
Oh, these guys are heliarching in a mirror, welding backwards and all that shit. It's incredible.
Oh yeah. I learned so I can do overhead, vertical up, vertical down, fillet, whatever, right? I can do 5G position. I can do left-handed, right-handed welding. I can mirror weld, but the problem with that is sometimes you get a reflective tunneling. If the mirror's in the wrong position, it reflects off your helmet, and then your helmet reflects on the mirror. So you end up seeing 2 arcs. And yeah, it can be an issue. Almost like I've done this before.
I'm good enough to stick 2 pieces of metal together. Mostly downhand though.
I had one of the lads that was working with last year going, I hate your welds. I go, why is that? He goes, I spend more time cutting out your weld than I do the actual material. I go, good.
Oh yeah.
Once
It's
you got
fun,
fusion, you're laughing.
It's fun. A good welder can stick 2 pieces of metal together. An excellent welder can lay a bead down that makes it look like those 2 pieces of metal are stuck together, and they're not. I don't know how many times I've seen that.
Actually, I was speaking to someone yesterday. He's from New Zealand, obviously. And he was talking about how he reckons he did the certificate, yet he named 2 welding processes using different acronyms. It's like, dude, if you knew that, you know there's only 4. There's MIG, TIG, stick, and oxy.
Yep.
But with MIG, you've got gasless and gas. But with the rest of them, no.
Sean Hawkins is out in the chat, says, I tried MIG welding and couldn't get the hang of it. Sean, if you can't use a squirt gun, forget it.
Well, that's the problem. You should learn how to stick weld first.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's not go there. Because I can
Oh, I
only do
will.
2 things with a stick. Blow a hole in the metal or stick the stick to the metal. That's the only 2 things I can do with a stick welder.
Well, here's a little trick that a tradesman taught me. If you're welding thin stuff, go big or go home. In other words, instead of using like a 2.5 millimeter rod, you use a 3.2 millimeter rod. So you use a thicker rod at the same amps you would use. Because you're able to put down more weld metal, it stays cooler, and you just have to travel the same speed.
Yeah, I had an incredibly good person teaching me. He had in the 1960s worked as a development mechanic at Ford's UK Research and Development Centre, building their special projects cars. He could weld very, very well. He despaired of teaching me He despaired of teaching me in the end. Sorry, Dad.
Suddenly a hush broke out over the crowd.
Quick question about welding. Is it true that like if a good welder, if you see a good weld, that it should look like nickels, like laying against each other or something like
No,
that? That's what I heard.
no.
No?
It should actually look, if you want to make it pretty, yes. But if you want it to be practical, it's got to look uniform.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Making
I
that
heard that
nickel
from
and
somebody
dime
a while
stuff,
ago.
or stacking dimes as they call it, it actually
Yeah.
ends up lumpy.
Right. Okay.
Most of the time you're welding, you're grinding it back, so it doesn't need to be pretty.
That's right.
You're talking about people who do aluminium and stainless for show cars or for roll cages where they've got to take pretty photos of it, or they're doing functional art pieces or coffee tables and stuff, or artwork on a house. The industrial application of welding doesn't matter how it looks as long as it sticks.
Right.
You're just looking for full penetration is all.
Oh, that's women love welders.
Full penetration.
Full penetration.
Yep. Well, it's not a very good structural weld if it isn't full pin.
We actually have we get welding inspectors. They have this little kit, this little bag with all sorts of welds that have been pre-fabricated, and they're all glossy and they're all covered in an epoxy. If yours don't look like theirs, you fail.
Yeah.
And then they bust out the X-ray, $1,000 per weld to X-ray it.
Two Left Thumbs is out in the chat. Lefty. He's the guy that made the adjuster mechanism for Cavendish. And he said, don't look too close at the bits of metal I sent you. Those were actually very pretty, Lefty, I'm telling you. Beats anything I could do. I guarantee you that. There was a time when I was actually pretty bad at welding. And I've just gotten a whole lot worse over the years. I can't see anymore, so that's the problem.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you should have put the hood down when you were welding.
when you're stick welding, you can tell more about the job you're doing by the way it sounds than anything.
No, but that's the same with MIG because there's 3 different processes. One's globular, one's spray, and the other one's basically direct current transfer.
Yeah.
The globular sounds like how can I put it? Like melting styrofoam. Or the sound of melting dripping rubber. It's weird, but it creates these big balls of spatter that get up in your nozzle.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
But spray transfer is the one if you want to get a really flat weld on a fillet.
Yeah.
And globular just puts down a heap of material. It goes, it sloppy. Oh yeah, and Anamorphic Mind, I've seen that video. What he's talking about is how people have edited together their welding to not show the heat. You can't melt metal cold. Doesn't work.
The Turtle Moose says I'll stick to soldering.
Same here.
Yeah, that's about as close I've ever got to it. Soldering copper pipes together with a
Wait,
acetylene torch.
hang on, I'm confused. We have an American here. One said solder and the other one said solder. Now, which is it, boys?
Either one.
I guess if you're going with the spelling, I guess you'll say solder.
Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you.
Or it's the way you've heard, the way you've heard people say it before. I always heard
Yeah.
solder.
Yeah, well, that's wrong.
That's typically the way we say it. No, it's wrong for you. It's not wrong for us. It's okay to say solder.
No,
over
it's
can
wrong
say
for
that.
English.
We're allowed to.
speak.
We're allowed to. We can say that.
No, you're not. It's not the same as the aluminium.
All right. So if you ask my wife how to say dog, she'll say dog. Is that wrong?
Dog.
Dog.
There's no
Dog.
W. There's no
She's
W.
from-
There's no
she's-
W in that.
Well, she's from New York, so that's the way they say it.
Yeah, but
Well, they
she's
have-
adding letters, not removing them.
Yeah, but come on, these are the people who can't say the word herb without dropping the H.
What?
They're not herbs, they're herbs. It's got an H in the bloody front of it.
They must be heretics.
Yeah, they're heretics for dropping the H.
H is
They're called-
silent. I don't know.
They're called herbs, not herbs. Oh, that one really does get me.
Yeah, and they're spanners, not bloody wrenches.
Yeah.
No, damn it, they're wrenches too.
Wrench.
Actually, hang on. We have shifting spanners, ring spanners, open-ended spanners, but we have pipe wrenches.
Yeah, why is that?
Because
Well,
you put the
what about-
thing on the pipe and you wrench it.
What about an Allen wrench? Is it an Allen key or is it an Allen wrench?
It's an Allen key.
key.
Yes, they're
Well,
key.
we say Allen wrench.
It's a
Well,
wrench.
you're wrong.
It's
Key.
a key.
Allen wrench.
So if you get a T-handled Allen key, are you still calling that a wrench? Because you can't wrench on them.
You betcha.
No.
I don't know. I guess I say both. I guess sometimes. I guess it depends.
Don't tell me I can't wrench on it. I got a pair of channel locks. I wrench on anything with it.
That's true.
Channel Lock, the only one of the only tool manufacturing companies left in the US.
Good stuff too. Well, we call that an East Tennessee socket set.
Well, what do you guys call Velcro? You call it Velcro? Well,
No,
in
we
the
call
Army,
it flat Earth.
we're-
We call it flat Earth shoelaces.
in the Army, we're not allowed to call it Velcro. In the Army, it's called hook and pile fastener.
Oh Jesus!
That is the proper technical name for it. Hook and pile.
Yeah.
But Velcro was the original trade name, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think isn't that the I don't know. Yeah, the brand name
Yeah,
or
but there's
something.
a specific,
yeah,
there's a
your brand.
specific, yeah, there's a specific patent on Velcro itself, the size of the hooks, the amount of hooks per inch, blah, blah, blah. And Americans being Americans.
Sometimes we just go by the brand name, you know. Sort of like Band-Aid. Like a Band-Aid is a Band-Aid.
Yeah, they're all Band-Aids. Kleenex.
But that's
Well,
the
what if
brand
you
name.
need some, but what if you need some Elastoplast?
What the fuck is that?
Or you're on your own in that case.
It's the lovely tape you see them taping up the wrists and the backs and the knees.
We call that the ace bandage.
So, Larry, you doing any surveying these days?
Yeah, that's a steady background kind of kill time. Always got the theodolite and the GPS receiver and tripods in my trunk. I see something, kill time.
All right.
Case in point, just the other day, I saw a new vantage point, saw some of my radio towers. One was kind of close at 10 miles, and the other one was kind of far at 20 miles. Working hard on, just really concentrating on vertical angles and refraction and the like. Be damned if I can't hit 6 inches at 10 miles in elevation with about 1,000 foot change in elevation. It's just so repeatable. It is so well understood.
Well, you did have a rod out there. You did have a rod out there standing next to that tower, right? I mean, I've been listening to the BevTards, and if you don't have a rod that you're looking at, you're not surveying.
Well, there you go. No, it's just the whole thing with vertical angles at great distance. It's just an investigation through my 100-year-old textbook. Nothing changed.
Yep.
That's nice, that is.
I got old analog gear, and it's like a Hasselblad camera. They don't ever wear out. They were still the best. So with new electronic gear, it's only faster, cheaper, not better.
Yeah, that's just as accurate, isn't it?
You could use a metal pipe, a meter or a yardstick and a tripod, and you could do this shit.
Oh yeah, I mean there's there's method and procedure, and then you get into the statistics of measuring. The statistics is where most land surveyors fall apart, because they generally don't have large data sets to deal with.
Actually, speaking of data sets, I actually watched this video on the Thrust SSC yesterday. Yeah, the car that broke the sound barrier.
Oh, that thing.
The first time they did it, the first day that they broke the sound barrier, they didn't turn it around fast enough to collate the measurement within an hour of the first run.
Yep.
When they did it the next day, on the return pass, he broke Mach 1.
There is a bit of film shot from a helicopter where you can see him. I don't know whether you actually see him break it, but you can see him approaching the sound barrier. You actually see it in the dust on the surface.
Yeah, you see an imprint in the ground. Yeah.
Well, you can actually see you can see the shockwave building up at the front of the car. leaning back at an angle on either side. And that's as he's approaching the speed of sound.
The only thing the English can do is go fast.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, I know. There it is. Let me just post. I'll find it somewhere. Let's just bung that in the live chat.
Two engines from an F4E Phantom.
I thought Trust SSC was 2 engines from a Typhoon.
No, the Rolls-Royce Space as used in the Phantom 2. And of course, the guy who chose to drive it was an ex-pilot.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was a pilot at that point.
Well,
so-
no, he might still have been a current pilot at the time. Yeah, but so he wasn't a race car driver or anything like that. He was.
he
Well,
was
you're not really racing anything apart from speed.
You're basically trying to keep a wingless aeroplane on the ground, which is why it had adaptive suspension, and it still kept leaving the ground. It kept skipping.
he was a RAF fighter pilot.
Yeah, wing commander.
I thought he was a pilot when he did it, but retired as a wing commander. But
I'm looking forward to the Bloodhound.
Yes. They're
Bloodhound
thinking,
LSR.
yeah, well, they're thinking they're going to break 1,000 mile an hour with it. That's
Well, they gotta break
1,600
something.
kilometers.
They got to break.
Yeah,
They got to
one-
break something. So they got to
Yeah,
break
but
something.
1,600 kilometers an hour.
Well, they got to break
That-
something. Some barrier's been done.
Yeah, but it'll only take you 1 minute to do 16 kilometers. You're gonna need a long track.
Sorry, had to run off for a second.
No need to apologize on your own channel.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to bail soon. I'm getting knackered.
What?
Getting late.
What do
Getting
you
late
mean you're
over
getting
there, Flums?
knackered? They're gonna put a rubber band.
Yeah, it's been a long old day, and it is 10 to 10 at night here.
as late as that.
It is. Yeah, well, I had to go into the office, so that was 3 hours of driving today. Thank you very much.
Oh,
It's
lucky
20
you.
past 6 in the morning, mate. What the hell are you talking about?
It might be where you are. It's 10 to 10 at night here.
Still, I think this is probably not a bad time of the day to stream.
Well, it's not, because like Jose said, he does his bit, and
Yep.
then you come along and sort of pick up almost where he left off.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I noticed you streamed yesterday, but I think by the time you went live, I was fast asleep. That must have been past midnight here, I think.
Yeah, I got a later start yesterday, and I thought about that, but I think I'm going to start making this a more regular sort of thing. And I promise as time goes on, we'll pick up. I'll do a little more structured gathering.
Yeah.
I thought about today talking about this level horizontal stuff, but and we can still do that. But
Oh yeah. Well, that's not going to go away, is it?
no, there's no big
Unfortunately.
hurry. No big hurry.
Well, is there really that much to talk about?
Not really, but it seems as though the competition can waffle on about that for days and days and weeks and months.
Yes.
And for some reason, they just cannot understand that you can't. All you can do with the water level is prove that water is level. That's it. Nothing else. They make a fatally flawed assumption to begin with, and that is that there is only one plane of the horizon. And they do nothing to show that. They've done nothing to prove that. And you can't prove it geometrically. You're not going to sit down with a pencil and a piece of paper and prove it. It just can't be done.
Well, that's why they just talk about it. Go on.
The thing that bothers me is when they harp on 8 inches drop, and they talk, well, then it's going downhill. I go, no. From your local horizontal, go out a mile, and 8 inches down, it's to get the same elevation. You have no concept of the same elevation. So you go out 2 miles, and you got to drop whatever it is, 32 inches or whatever. Yeah, they have no idea that that is to maintain the same elevation.
They have to know that. Don't you think they've got to know that?
Well,
How hard can that be to understand? That's such a simple diagram.
And hundreds of years of it. And they just, South Pole is fake, ice wall is real, gravity is fake, the dome is real. Sunrises, sunsets aren't what they appear to be, and eclipses, nobody knows.
Let's see, on the one side, I've got all this stuff I can actually measure, and on the other side, I've got basically absolutely nothing. Which way would you like to go?
Yeah, they're talking about bringing a knife to a gunfight. Well, you can't bring nothing to a gunfight. They have no idea what it means to lose by default. They have a map? No, now they've abandoned their map. They have a model? No, no, because it's unknowable. But they're sure we're wrong.
It's hard for me to believe that a guy claims he's got credentials in surveying and denies that there could be such a thing as a spherical triangle. How can that be?
Yeah.
How in the world can that be?
The problem with somebody who says he's got a lot of experience and it's been like 2 years of experience, he's just a software junkie.
Yeah.
Never did a show your work exam like for the state. All the software does it for him, which means it's still done. Just because you didn't do it doesn't mean it went away or never existed. And then who's going to write that software? Who's going to test that software? Yeah. It's they just want a simple explanation for a complex thing. You give them a simple outline, and then they call bullshit because it doesn't explain enough. You give them a complex, you add the detail, and now they say you're bullshitting. And all they say is you're wrong, Matt. You're inventing, and you got mathemagics, and it's like, well, we can see the stars go around the southern pole. We don't even have to go all the way to Antarctica.
You only have to go just go a little south of the equator, you'll see it.
Yeah,
you don't even have to go that far, actually.
Even from the northern hemisphere, we can see the arc.
Yeah, you see the arc of it. Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Stars rise in the southeast, and they set in the southwest. And you can see that they are scribing a circular arc. No, they're just, they embrace phenomenon that they've never observed, and they dismiss phenomena which is plain. Discovering the shape of the Earth is kind of like discovering air, you know?
Really. What absolutely astounds me is how anybody that lives in the southern hemisphere could ever think the Earth is flat. How could that ever work?
Yeah, Australian flat earthers are an extra weird phenomenon. But the British flat earthers really piss me off because Ordnance Survey UK was the most premier geodetic group for long periods of time. Still, the top 3 in the world, whatever. Greenwich is in England because of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's called the Ordnance Survey because it was surveyed by the Royal Artillery, essentially, or at least surveyors employed by the Royal Artillery.
Yeah, almost everything to do with surveying and navigation had a military drive. Mapping was the high intelligence that was secret. If you had maps of beyond the mountains, that was intel.
Well, it still is, and in fact, the Corps of Royal Engineers have a specialist map making division. Oh, sorry, squadron. Because maps is important.
And accurate maps.
Yes.
Maps you can actually bloody use.
Yeah. And I know enough Royal Engineers to know that actually that's the one place they don't want to end up.
I have to laugh. In my British 1925 textbook, they have a lot of maps, and they're like standard topographic engineering maps, and they're marked War Department, and they've been redacted. There's no latitude and longitudes left on these maps. I said, what? Why would they not have the latitude and longitudes of wartime maps?
Because strategic
it's
targets.
intel. No, it got intel. It was redacted.
I know you guys aren't seeing this, but because I'm still working out the kinks on how to do all this stuff live. But up on YouTube right now, I've got the manual that is referenced by the state of Louisiana, where our friend Rockia is from, and has a contractor's license. And this is an Army training manual. In fact, it's called Training Manual 5-232. And it clearly talks about, I'll just read it to you. The level surface defined in paragraph 8-1 will follow the curvature of the earth. Did you not read that part, Rockia? Did you forget to look at this little diagram on page 8-4 that shows the curvature of the earth, the level line that's following the curvature of the earth, and the horizontal line being established by a theodolite or an auto level? How did you miss that part, bud? Don't know.
I can't remember which chat it was, but I was asked why nautical people use flat Mercator maps, and I just answered, well, you said the word Mercator, you're already using a globe reaction.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to put on a table when it's flat.
Hello,
Yeah,
you bunch of bloody beautiful bastards. How you doing?
Hey, here he comes.
Now.
God.
We got
Watch out, he's
John.
going to set me country on fire. Watch it.
No, fucking that's old. I did that fucking 2 years ago.
Yeah, now it's flooding. What have you done? Do you turn on the water?
Yeah, well, don't talk about that. I'm trying to keep that quiet.
Oh, you left the tap on 2 years ago. Now it's the effect.
Do the Dutch have to go to pump it out again?
Yeah, I fucking left the tap on 2 years ago. That's what happened. I'm sorry. I was pissed. Yeah.
I still do not apologise for that.
What's happening,
My
Joe?
missus. What's that?
I said, what's happening? How you doing?
Oh, fucking, I'm all right. Jesus, yeah, just I built a bifolding gate today. Well, I finished a bifolding gate today. It's not. I mean, the woodwork is not Cavendish standards. It's rough sawn timber, but I'm quite proud of it. It's quite good.
You,
I'll send you a picture.
yeah, you should show your work here.
What's the where are we? Where would they post that? In the welcome or?
Well, what you could do, because of I'm still figuring all this stuff out. If you could share your screen.
Or in live chat.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just on my phone, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that might make it hard to do.
What's the best?
You could stick it. Let's see. Well, stick it up there in the live chat text channel, and get one of these. Get somebody else to share their screen with it, or I might be able to.
Right, well, whilst he's doing that, I'm going to say thank you, Blue, and good night. I need to bail out because I'm struggling.
Yeah, got you, farmers.
Yeah, I'll catch you somewhere later on.
Yeah.
See Terry's tomorrow.
Bye, farmers.
Is Terry streaming tomorrow?
Well, I said if Terry streams, will we be seeing you?
Oh yeah. No, I only have to go into the office one day a week, so yes, I shall be around tomorrow.
Okay.
Well then, guys, thank you very much, and I'll see you all later.
Did you post it somewhere, John?
I'm just doing it now in live chat.
All right. Let me go have a look, see if we can find it. Oh, there it is. Hey, all right. Now the other guys will have to have a look at it when it comes up on, or go to live chat and look at it there. Oh yeah, very nice.
The thing that it's all like rough sawn timber, but the thing that I'm quite surprised and impressed about is that I measured it. I measured that distance, and I got the level so accurate that I built that that. It's a bifolding gate.
Yeah.
So there are hinges, other hinges that you can't see. Right. So I built it off site, and then brought the parts of the gate back to the job, and put it together, and it actually just completely worked with like 5mm gaps between the gates. Like fucking hell. I thought I was going to have to modify it somehow to make it actually close, but I'm such a fucking anal measuring person that it's actually completely went in.
What sort of wood you make it out of?
Sorry?
What type of wood is that?
That is Douglas fir.
Oh, okay.
And does the gate double fault?
Say again?
It looks like if you open it, that you can actually fold the middle part backwards.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it's a bifold. Double bifold,
I'll send
actually.
I'll send another
yeah.
picture.
A double
But
fold.
it's been a it's been a real head fuck. I've got to be honest. Oh, hang on. You know the nice thing was that I actually processed that timber from like tree trunks
Really?
through the saw. Yeah, I made those 6-inch planks. Yeah.
Well done. I'm impressed. You got a hell of a saw.
Oh fuck, they're beasts.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I would say so.
Yeah, so that was the end last week, and
Have you treated it with anything? Any kind of treatment on it?
yeah. Well, we cut it, and we send it to a sawmill a few miles away, and they pressure treat it.
Okay.
It goes in this massive goes in on rails, and they pressure treat it. Yeah.
Right.
So,
yeah. Yeah, it'll stay there for a long time.
Yeah. Trying to find the. I did take a picture of it when it was the left-hand door was closed. Where's it gone? But yeah, but it's been a head fuck. It really has been a complete and utter head fuck. I mean, if someone tells me like, John, build this, I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. But if what it really grips my shit. The thing that annoys me the most is someone coming up with a plan, and it's all sorted, and then the next day it's almost like that conversation never happened. That fuck.
Make them stop. They'll push the reset button sometimes.
Shit. And that has happened. That has happened almost every day. But I'm just posting the pictures now. That's what the doors look like when they're closed. Well, sorry, open.
Yeah, Tiny Captain's got it up. Oh, okay.
So it's not Cavendish stroke cabinet woodworking, but I can guarantee you that it is square, and it works.
Well, square for the time being, anyway. Weather has a way of doing things.
Yeah, I put some hefty diagonals in there. But yeah, I might have to. There might be some remedial work, but hopefully but it's
Might,
I'm pretty good. I'm quite pleased with it. It's
yeah, might want to make a little foot or something for it to sit on if you can, because gates do love to sag over time.
yeah. It's I mean it's the the thing about it. I don't know if you can see in the is it the last picture. What my boss wanted is the only support I was allowed was the post.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not what I would do. And he's like, I don't care. I want the it's for plants. They're selling plants, and they want to protect them from the weather. And I'm like, you don't. It's 4 meters. And I'm like, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. And he's like, no, I don't care. I don't care. And so a lot of the infuriating thing about the whole thing was that I had to build it in a way that I wouldn't ever actually build something, and with I mean, it's just been a fucking pain in the tits, and it's almost over. So, but when you make something like that, basically what the tolerances are and what the strength of wood is, and you build according to that. And if you're asked to do something else, when you say, I don't think that's going to be strong enough, that will fail, and it'll have my name on it incidentally. They just they don't care. So it's been one of those jobs. But I think I need to be a bit more wise, because they've been so impressed recently with the stuff that I've built. So get John to do it. Get John. And I think I should build something really, really, really shit. And and make them second guess their choice of the fucker that's got to bow to their commands and have a break. But yeah, I've been a bit of a machine the last sort of 6 months or so. John, build this. Yeah, build that. Do that. Do that. And these things appear.
So you say, yeah, but I'm going to build it shit, right? Is that kind of? It sounds kind of passive aggressive.
No. I don't say, yeah, I'll build it, but I'll build it shit. I just say I'll build it perfect, but then build it shit and say that I think it's perfect, and then they'll be like, oh no. John's best not ask him to build the next one.
Yeah, well, it's oftentimes simply in the eyes of the beholder. I know years ago, I when I was building houses on the side for quite a while, I would get really frustrated with my guys at times. I'd say, look, guys, let's treat the job site, just treat it like it's your house, okay? Just like, treat it like it's your house. And they never would. I mean, I couldn't understand what the problem was until I took one of them home one day. And I found out that they were doing exactly what I told them. They were treating my job site exactly like they treat their damn house. So,
yep.
Then it occurred to me that I needed to be a little more specific about my requirements.
Yeah.
See AT2 Productions out there in the chat. Hey, Jared, what's going on, man? What shenanigans is going on here? Well, not a lot. We've been sitting around just shooting the breeze this afternoon. Nothing really planned. Just having some fun. Jump in if you want to. Here, I'll stick a link out here. There you go. And anybody else that wants to come in for that matter.
I'll send you another picture.
I can put it up, but I discovered that it's not showing in YouTube.
I've got it off right now. Hang on. I'll give it about 30 seconds and it'll come back up on YouTube. I can see it over here. I'll tell you.
New picture anyway.
There it is. Now it's on YouTube.
Yeah, that was the last one with the doors fully open.
Right. Oh, I hear you, Jared. Yeah. Taking a break out there. AZ is Arizona, I take it. Got anything new up yet, John?
No, hang on. Fuck it.
Outskirts of Phoenix. Gotcha. Man, still got 46 people watching. Hey, thanks everybody. Glad you dropped by. We're going to start doing this a lot more often. Probably not tomorrow afternoon. Wednesdays will probably be my day off. I meet some military type buddies on Wednesday afternoons for a few beers. And after that, I'm usually not suitable to be found on the internet anywhere.
Sounds good, Blue. It could be a good sort of forum for sensible debate and sensible response to sort of what's come up. So,
hey, Rumpus, how are you?
Hey, Blue. I was hoping I could ask Tiny Captain a few questions about navigation, if it's not against the run of the discussion.
No, absolutely not.
You
Go right
can
ahead.
ask.
Hey,
Go
Tiny. Yes, I'm
doing?
hello. I'm doing. Well, I've been half doing a video on sextants and navigation for about 1.5 months, and I have various reasons I've been a bit up in the air and doing other stuff. Well, just me. Anyway, I was just wondering. You see all this stuff about using line of position and stuff, and when superficially, just from a sort of theoretical point of view, if you've got a time instrument and you can determine if you can see the sun and you can determine the solar noon and you know what time it's happened, then you know your longitude, and obviously you can determine your latitude using the sort of like old conventional techniques. Now, I asked Blue the same question. He said, well, actually, it's quite difficult sometimes to get to determine actually when noon occurs. So that's a bit tricky. And of course, to do this sort of navigation where you use a star and things, you obviously have to do that sort of twilight or in the morning to try and get the stars and the horizon in light and at the same time. And then, of course, you get these lines.
Yeah.
And then you get this lines of position. But anyway, so it seems to me that there seems to be lots of ways where you don't need to fuss about all this lines of position and this, providing you can get a sort of view of the sun at the solar noon. Perhaps it's inconvenient, you're not around at that time or something. But anyway, there seems to be a lot of ways, in theory, if you just think about, in a sort of just looking in the books, in theory, you can determine your latitude and longitude very easily. You don't have to mess around with all this lines of position and then allowing for the fact you're moving along and then getting intersection between that and then adding on the difference between what you're looking at the star and all this other hubbly-jubbly. I was just wondering if you'd like to explain to me in practical terms. I think I've got some ideas what the practical reasons why. As I mentioned, some of them like not being around at Sunday, but it seems to me there are lots of ways of doing it in theory without doing through all this line of position, rough, whatever it is, when you dead reckoning, etc., and then making announces. I'm just wondering if you might like to tell me what all these other practical issues are, that why we've got all this documentation about doing all this other stuff that seems to be bonus from a purely theoretical point of view.
Wow, that was a very long-winded question, and it gets really quite simple. The line of position plotting is the easy way out, and you don't have to use stars. You can just use the sun in the morning, noon, and afternoon, and you don't care about a local solar noon because, yes, it is kind of time-consuming. But if you got 3 shots on the sun, you're fine right there. And if you're stationary on the ground, LOP is the easy way out. If you're moving in a ship, yeah, that's when it gets complicated. But if you're at anchor, yeah, it gets complicated when you're moving. And you don't have to use a 3-star fix. You can use the sun 3 times over. And if you do have at night, then you can get all 3 stars nearly at once, as opposed to the sun, which use a morning, noon, and afternoon, none of which have to be at noon.
Yeah.
Providing you know the time. Yeah.
Right.
He is correct, but I think the Rumpus was more asking about the corrections we have to do if we do a star navigation or not.
Oh well, I'm familiar with those corrections actually. I mean, I'm familiar with reasonably familiar with the theory. So yes, I'm familiar with allowing for refraction and the allowing for the limb of the sun and allowing for parallax issues. So I'm actually familiar with the corrections. I'm reasonably okay with the theory, but actually then doing a practice, as Larry was just pointing out there. You could just use the sun all the time. You don't, and providing you know what the time is, and you. But hold on, don't you need if you know what the time? But hold on, I'm confused now. But surely the point is you need to know. If you know, okay, perhaps I'm wrong. Yes, okay. So I suppose if you know what how do you know what the? Okay, right. You need to know the local time. Then, in other words, sorry, yes. So for what, Larry?
You need to know Greenwich. No, you need to know Greenwich time. Always.
But may I explain it? May I explain it? Yeah.
A quick comment.
You need both. Sorry, Larry, but you need both, don't you? You need the local time and the.
Wrong. Only Greenwich time. There is no other time. It's neither Greenwich and don't bother.
But hold on. Surely then the sun. How do you know what height the sun position should be where you are? If you don't know where you are, then you don't know what the peak sun position is unless you know the local time. So you need to know the local time. Go ahead.
That's why they call the DR your dead reckoning, your guesstimate, and you can be off a degree on your guesstimate and still get a good solution.
All right. So if you started off knowing where you are, okay.
Well, roughly, very roughly, you can just guess at it for like your degree off, and then you go through the quick calculations. And they say, oh, I must be over here about 60 miles. And then you can take the same observations and recompute. Now you're good. And no.
Right, but But I'm
Only
still
Greenwich.
but sorry,
If
I'm
you,
confused. Unless you have a good idea where you are, then if you don't know what the local
no.
time is,
No,
then
not
the
a good
sun.
idea. You can be
Oh,
very rough, nearest degree, rough.
I
yeah,
think Tiny's trying to get in.
exactly. You have to make a guess where you are, and there's different ways to do it. You go out from Greenwich, and when you see the sunrise, you can already make a guess how much time that is of Greenwich time. Then you have that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
For
the
the other
dip. Yeah,
one,
the dip indeed. Yeah. It's another
yeah,
correction.
yeah,
Yeah.
for the latitude.
Yeah. So I'm
You can, when the sun comes up, you can actually see when the sun comes up at Greenwich, and you can calculate when the sun comes up at
But
your
I'm
time.
still confused. How's that helping? Sorry to interrupt you, Tiny. I don't want to. Well, I'm interrupting you, but sorry to do it. I'm still confused how that's helping me. So I see sunrise, but I don't know what time, in theory, what this is sunrise. I just know I've got the sun happening at sunrise. I know, and according to Larry, you only need to know GMT. But if I don't know the local time, then I don't know. And let's suppose I don't know where I am, then I don't know. I don't know what time the sunrise should have happened for my particular position. So unless I know the local time,
You know
I'm stuck.
the GMT. You know the GMT.
Yeah, let's assume I know the GMT. Yeah.
Yeah, you can
know
turn that
GMT.
around. You can turn that
You
around.
know when?
I did see the sunrise, and this is the Greenwich time of that sunrise. Yeah, that's the whole point. Local time is meaningless. He goes, I got the sun on the horizon at this time. That's when you start to get a home in on.
But if I don't know where I am, that doesn't help me.
Stop. You know when the sun comes up at GMT time at GMT location.
But not at your location, though. You don't.
No. Okay, but you know the GMT time, and you have the GMT time. When your sun comes up, you know at what time your sun comes up.
In
you
GMT
can calculate
time,
that back to the sun has to come up at that time.
But that varies
but
depending
my
on your
sun
latitude.
comes up at that time, so you know at what time at your latitude your sun comes up. Now the longitude it's longitude.
Yes, that's true. So you can work out your longitude. So if the sun's just come
then
up,
you have your longitude because
yes,
the sunrise. Okay.
Yeah.
Then we discover. Okay, that's your longitude. The latitude is discovered by. The best thing is actually to do it at night to discover where if you are in the northern hemisphere,
look at the pole star
where the pole star is, because about one hand palm is about 10 degrees. So if you find the Polaris and then go how much it is to the horizon, it's about 10 degrees. It's easy guess. And in the south, you have to first make a line from the southern crux and the pointer stars to find out where the middle point is of the celestial
right.
point.
That's quite tricky.
And then do the same. So that is a little bit more tricky, but you can do the same. And then you have a guess position due to the sunrise and due to the position of Polaris or the southern rotation point. And then you can make a guess. And with that guess, you can start to calculate with the stars.
Right, okay, because it's just I think Rakia. I think yes, it was I think it was a little challenge that Rakia put to Ruhif. I think about a week ago on Bev's thing, and he said, Ruhif said, I think I only need a sextant or something, and then someone reminded him you need the time. He said, oh yes, I need the time, and then Rakia was saying, okay, so you've got the time and you've got a sextant, and that's still not going to be enough. But from what you're now saying, and I agree with it. If I plonked you anywhere in the world and you had access to the sunset and your time, as you say, you can then determine, and from an almanac, of course, you need to have what you can determine your longitude from just when the sun comes up. Or if you have trouble determining when solar noon is, then I suppose you need to know the time of year. I suppose might obviously affect when the sunrise is going to be because your longitude. Anyway, and then as you say, you've then got various ways of getting latitude. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Larry.
Greenwich. Yeah, Greenwich time is accompanied by a date, so it's date and time specific. And and as he pointed out, you can figure out a pretty good idea of your latitude, and so you can just calculate or look up the time of sunrise, say at 40 degrees north at 0 longitude. Well, you had a sunrise, 6.7 hours later. It's still sunrise. It's not necessarily the meridian transit. But again, you're going to have a DR, a guess, that dead reckoning position. I mean, and it can be, like I said, nearest couple degrees, or maybe it only takes you, a little bit to figure out if you're, way the fuck off. I mean, so you have
let's imagine I dumped you somewhere, and you didn't know when I dumped you somewhere in the world. Say the southern hemisphere. How would you go? And are you allowed to have an almanac, a clock, and a sextant? What would you do to find out where you are?
Well, the first thing I'd realize was what hemisphere I'm in, and then the second thing I would notice, oh look, it's sunrise, but it's like 2 a.m. Greenwich.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I already got a pretty good idea what's going on. And then observe the sun 3 times. Maybe I got spotty clouds, so I don't have a precise sunrise, sunset, or noon. I just have my 3 measurements. I'm good. I'll be done. In just at that point, it's all paperwork. You don't.
So how did you get the latitude? Sorry, how did you get the latitude?
Getting a meridian transit for local astronomic noon is a chore, and you better have good blue skies. You could just do 3 sun positions or 3 star positions or a combination, and if you're stationary, it all gets easy. But if you're stationary,
I just explained.
You did.
Just explained the latitude.
You did. I was just saying. I was just asking if Larry had a different way of doing it because he seemed to be implying he had other means. That was all.
No, but the other thing is, why the fuck should you do that? Because if you cross an ocean and you do not put your position every couple of hours.
Indeed, it was a challenge. It was a challenge. As Rakia said,
possible.
I know. Good luck. Good luck. He implied you couldn't do it if you were just armed with the equipment that I described, and then you were dumped somewhere. He seemed to, and Ruhif didn't, and Ruhif wasn't quite sure.
You definitely could figure from scratch with absolutely no a priori information. But in typical sextant operation, you're not going to mistake the Indian Ocean for the Atlantic.
Yeah.
You got some idea. I mean, you didn't see the sun for like the past month. Well, you didn't get transported to the far side of the globe. So you can be 10 degrees off and take those same observations and see, I must be way over here, and you got kind of a crappy solution. Well, take that crappy solution and rerun the calculations with those same observations. Boom, you'll be knife edge.
Right.
Why is everybody talking about this? Because I'm already a week busy with the video about it.
Bad luck, Tiny. Oh, I look forward to your video. Actually, I'm not sure I'm subscribed to you. Actually, I'll go and check on that.
It's gonna take a longer time to do it, but I don't have much videos coming out because my job, of course. But sometimes I have videos coming out.
Right. Okay. I'll check. I think I've been subscribed to you. I'm not absolutely sure though. But yeah.
Quick,
okay. What I might do then is sounds like I need to run my video that I'm going to do past Larry and Tiny Captain to make sure there are no. I don't want to have any errors in it. So and I'd like it to be nice and practical. I'd like to have I suppose what I'm thinking of is that if facing this sort of Rakia challenge, dump you down. What's the quickest and how quickly could so for instance you could learn you could work out when noon is. Presumably, if you could see sunrise and sunset, then you've worked out then also the length of day you have that because that can affect your latitude. I'm thinking there's some issue here to do with helping you determine your latitude. But if you're saying just use the stars, then I suppose that's not really an issue. Anyway, so I was just wondering what the quickest way is, just armed with that equipment, and if there are the most efficient way and quickest way of doing it if at different times of day, perhaps in the morning, perhaps halfway in the morning, then perhaps over a period of a day, or in sunset or sunrise when you can do the
Well, like I said,
Just very
you can
quickly,
use
yes.
as
Just very,
a 3-star fix, as a 3-star tip, you can use the star. You can use the sun 3 times. If you have a nice night sky and you can take 3 stars all at once, you needn't do it twice.
Right.
okay, just very quickly. Shout out to Judy Bassett for €8. A fun stream tonight, Judy says. Thank you, Judy. I appreciate it. Okay, go ahead.
So, okay, perhaps we ought to have a little, perhaps have a tiny, yes, perhaps it's perhaps possibly what I'm sort of moving towards is thinking how you would answer this challenge in the most efficient way and with the most awkward scenario, with perhaps not being able to see the sun or something. And yes, I need to. Perhaps yes, I might try and include some sort of challenge in my video to say these are the different ways you might do it given the different circumstances. Okay.
Well, and using LOP, that's the easy way out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
even
that's
still, if you're just dropped out of nowhere and you have a date, time, almanac, sextant, and maybe a mag compass, what the hell? It doesn't matter. Yeah, you can figure everything out from zero a priori information.
Yeah,
It's
because
just
one
a-
point. Sorry, Carol.
No, and then and you'll make the most bold most bold estimations because you have Greenwich time. You'll get a good idea right out of the box.
Yeah, because one point that Blue and I, when I asked Blue this same question, we were talking about that I hadn't really got. I was still not getting to grips with the idea of these lines of position. They are straight lines, and then Ruhif, actually, one of his answers to Raki was saying, "Well, I need a globe to be able to draw the circle of equal altitude." But of course, a circle of equal altitude, you can do it on a globe, but you can't do it on a map. But and so Blue was saying, "Well, actually, therefore, you can't map that very easily onto a flat map." But I was then thinking, if this is a straight line, if the star is sufficiently far away, and then if it becomes a straight line, then do you need to worry yourself about the fact you're on a flat map? So possibly this might be back to Blue here, and that you don't need to worry about allowing for the distortion due to the
yeah.
projection.
If the distance from the GP is far enough, then you do not have to worry if the line is curved or not, because then you can just.
But do you have to allow for the distortion, the fact you're doing on a flat map and the globe is not? No, I
There's-
suppose you shouldn't, should you?
Not really.
No, there's a pretty simple method when using just a little worksheet, and the only difference is that your length of longitude is scaled against latitude. So they have worksheets that have little
Yeah.
scale bars on the bottom, but you can
Exactly.
you can do that. You can do that easily with a scientific calculator. You can just figure it. But and assuming you're not 1,000 miles off, assuming you're only 50, 80, or 100 miles off, yeah, you can do it. You can do a planimetric sheet because you have, with a different scale for latitudes and longitudes, which is sine of latitude. Yeah, you can do that easily enough, and you'll find the line of position and making what they call the cocked hat, the little triangle.
Yeah,
that
right.
you're going to be in the middle. Then you take that estimate and do it twice with all the same observations. And if you're using stars, you got it one shot. Using the sun, it's essentially 3 stars, but it took you all day. No big damn
Yeah.
deal. But you don't got to do it. And you could do it on multiple days. But you can start from absolutely zero dead scratch, knowing nothing, not knowing which ocean you're in. You'll figure that out real fast. Just but the course of a day.
Yeah.
Okay, I learned it a little bit different. Not to use that scale maps. I learned to actually draw the corner of your guest position, the latitude around it, and then plot it in a 90-degree angle so you can actually scale the distance, and then plot the distance that way instead of the already drawn thing.
Yeah, you'll have your distance from your location to the GPs, but when it comes to the longitude calculation, the latitude calculation, you have to turn that great circle length into a delta latitude and a delta longitude. That's where the scale comes in, just for the latitude calculation. But yeah, you're doing everything in nautical miles. And then when it comes to the longitude calculation, you have to turn your nautical miles scaled for delta longitude.
Yeah, exactly. And because yeah, we do not draw it on a world map, but we draw it on a local map. We have to calculate the from the guest position, and that is your delta C.
And there's no shortage of videos on it.
Indeed,
Well,
I've
there's
seen quite
tons
a
of
few.
those.
Yeah, yeah.
You're effectively
Yeah, I need
solving
to.
a spherical triangle with your position
Yeah.
being one corner, the GP being the other, and the pole being the other.
It's always bigger than 180 degrees, that corner that you make between the stars.
Yeah, always.
I can see I'm going to have to do a bit more research on this. It's practical business that I'm not familiar with this scaling thing. That,
and that's what the site reduction tables do. They solve every
Yes, the site
possible
reduction.
spherical triangle.
Right. Yes, I'm.
I'll solve for you for specific assumed positions.
And I have to be honest, I'm actually struggling now because I'm now busy with I have the Norris book at home, but I learned everything from the Dutch nautical tables, and they're a little bit different. And the Norris tables are more international. So I'm now trying to figure out what I'm have to change to actually understand the Norris tables, and the Norris tables are much more interesting.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, we'll look forward to your video, Tiny. Yes, it sounds like I need to do quite a bit more research if I'm going to do something that's as any sort of practical. Yeah, but as you said, there are quite a few videos on this that do go into this, and they tend to be and certainly the site reduction procedure is reasonably well documented, and I've got some books and things on the subject as well. But I didn't feel as I was getting a practical feel for. You can read all theory and things you like, but getting a feel for what you would practically do as the best thing to do is not something you pick up just from reading lots of theory. Yeah, let's get a sextant.
Could we have a brief interlude? What I'm looking for is just a little pat on the back from Blue Marble for the structure that I made when I posted a picture of it.
Oh yes, when you posted them earlier, up above.
Oh yeah, that's a very fine looking job. I'll be glad to sign my name to it.
I made a gate. That's a bit of a gate, is it, John?
No, the more recent one, the sort of like shed like structure.
Oh, I
sorry.
look,
that, yeah. It looks like a gate with some brick walls, some stone walls, and then you put a gate on the front of it. Is that not what you posted earlier?
Yeah, I did that. But the thing.
Sorry, next one. Sorry, the next one. Sorry, I've got it. Yeah, got it now. Sorry. Right, I see the one you're
looks like a wood bin, and like they both.
Oh right,
and I like the gate left rustic like that. It's a very elegant looking gate.
Yeah, John, that is definitely worth a pat on the back. That looks like a lot of work, given the fact. Yes, I've had to do quite a bit of word work recently with my Rect thing, and it sounds like you must be reasonably competent with the old saw and drill and things. It's all screwed together, presumably. Is it screwed together or jointed in some way?
You're talking about the shed thing, John? Yeah. Yeah. Is that what kind of roofing is? That's fiberglass like roofing?
It's concrete.
Oh, concrete. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't share that one yet.
But the thing about that shed is that I built that entirely on my own. Without any.
That's ambitious. That is definitely ambitious.
So, I mean, I think it's because my background as a commercial diver. You're instructed to go in the water and do this, and you're like, how the fuck do I do that? And they're like,
But no, you're saying you're a problem solver. Is that what you're trying to say, John?
yes, yeah, and so you end up, like, how do I move this heavy weight? How do I?
Yes,
How
that is
can I?
really tricky. I find that, yes, moving a big heavy weight or raising something up a long way, that indeed those
Yeah,
sorts of problems are surprisingly tricky.
yeah. So I have. I didn't realize, but they expected me to, when they asked me to build this thing. They said, "Well, we'll need you to get Mark down after lunch to help you move the 6x2s into positions and I thought, fuck it, I'll just do it myself." And they came back, and it was the structure of it was all built, and they're like, "Fucking hell, how did you how did you do that by yourself?" And so it just, yeah, it's I didn't think it was that remarkable, but just the when people looked at it and realized that I'd actually done it on my own, they were like, "Holy shit!"
Is it
That's
screwed together, John, or is it jointed in any way?
sorry.
Is it screwed together, the various bits, the beams and things, or how are you holding it all together? Is it with joints or screws or what?
Oh yeah, it's like 120 mil screws with like bolt head.
Right.
But yeah, it's 6x2s, 6x2, 6 inch by 2 inch timber.
But did you decide how to do it yourself, or did you look up how you should do this sort of thing?
No, I just built it.
Well done. No, you definitely deserve a pat on the back, John. That looks like a definite task there.
Looks very good.
What's the dimensions of that thing?
Oh god, what is it? I can't recall, honestly.
4 meters by 5 meters or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But yeah, I had to. I mean, I had to. In order for me to be able to build it by myself, I had to build, like briefly, other structures to raise the timbers and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't just lift the fucking timbers into place. I used sneaky tricks to do it, obviously. But yeah, that's the biggest thing that I've made on my own, and it wasn't fucking easy. But yeah, I'm proud to display that photo on Blue Marvel's fucking stream and receive my pat on the back, because I
Well,
think
John,
there's
if you make it to my wrecked thing, John, no, I can see you got. I can stick you on some practical task. You can do that.
Well, you did have you had one good thing going for you. I guess that's Douglas fir too, right? And Douglas fir is not.
Sorry.
That wood is also Douglas fir, correct?
Douglas fir, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Douglas fir is a nice wood to work with in the sense that it's nice and strong, but it doesn't weigh a ton. Other species like this southern yellow pine that we use is much harder to work with by yourself. But Douglas fir, yeah, I like that
Over.
stuff.
The 6x2s were not Douglas fir.
What were they?
No, I don't know what they were, but by fuck, they
Well,
were fucking.
If the scrap burned, it was probably wood of some sort. We'll leave it at that.
But I fucked it up on one of the cross beams for the roof, and it fucking fell off, and it fucking landed in my head. You bastard.
You sure you're not dreaming you've made this, John? This is all delusion brought on by a headbang.
Well, maybe. Oh fuck! Oh, you bastard! I haven't been hit that hard since I lived in Aberdeen. Honestly, Jesus fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah. I didn't make that mistake again.
Yeah,
So
heavy
anyway,
things.
I just thought I'd give you a light interlude into construction.
That's nice, John. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that. That's good.
You know, carry on, man.
Oh, I've got to go anyway. Actually,
Okay.
no, I enjoyed that, John. Okay,
Can I ask you?
Okay, Larry's. Oh, Larry's
I
come
was
up with
thinking
something.
about what you know in dealing with rakia. Okay, and if you're not time constrained, a local astronomic noon is the simplest way, the least calculation intensive way, to be sure.
Yeah.
I had outlined if you're fighting clouds and got time constraint, where you can't pick, you're not going to see noon, but you got 3 other shots at it. Okay,
Yeah.
so now here's the method. I think you'll like this very much.
Oh, good.
It'll be clear and simple. Okay.
Ooh, nice.
If you can observe the sun all day long and you're stationary like on an island and you're totally screwed and you have your clock and your almanac. Okay. So if you set your sextant to say 30 degrees and you clock the time at which the sun passes 30 degrees, and then you set it for 50 degrees and it's rising, and you clock the time that it crosses 50 degrees. Then for the next hour, you just see how high the sun gets. And all you're concerned with is the highest elevation of the sun. Okay,
Yeah.
with your sextant. Now,
Yeah.
you needn't even record the time. But now as the sun starts to set, you return your sextant to 60 degrees and clock the time that it crosses 60 degrees. And as the sun is going further down, in other words, you clock as it goes up, say, 30, 50, 60, and as it goes down, you clock it 60, 50, 30. If you average those 2 times of the 60 degrees, you'll get local noon. And you average the time of the 50 degrees, you should get the same time. So now
Indeed,
you
that's
have
sorry.
the time of noon with almost no calculation, just averaging the time, taking the mean of the time it crosses the 50-degree elevation going up and the time it crosses the 50-degree elevation going down. And you saw it had a maximum of, say, 62 degrees or something. Yeah, from that, you're in. You're in. You got your latitude, you got your local noon, so you have your longitude. That would be the simplest, cleanest way out with the least amount of math and no plotting or nothing. You can just do just the numbers. You clock the time when it crosses a specific elevation going up and that same elevation going down. And that's when you get longitude.
Yeah, because that's actually what I started saying actually earlier. That if you went across the whole day, you've slightly improved that. I was saying that if you still when sunrise and sunset were, you know the length of the day, and therefore you know when noon's going to be.
Yeah, but you don't have to use specifically sunrise, just the crossing of a given
at the same angle. Yeah.
And once I realized you were dealing with rakia, you want to strip away crazy maths. So sunrise and sunset, that's the elevation of 0. Okay, so you have those times. But
Yeah, I mean, you could do
and
something
I
similar, like when
wouldn't
it's 10 degrees. I mean, it's something following what you're saying. You could simply say, right, if I
10
just
degrees.
take any time here, okay, it's 10 degrees at this particular time, then you wait until it gets back to 10 degrees near sunset, and then you've determined the length of the day and when noon was.
Well, you average those 2 times, and that's when it crossed your local meridian, and that is the simplest. And you can do that on a couple of elevation crossings on the rising, and a couple of elevation crossings on the setting, and then you'll have 3 estimates of the meridian crossing, which might vary a minute or 2 or something, and then you'll have its max altitude. And then with the almanac, and then you're not dealing with LOPs, you're not dealing with hardly anything. You're not even using an initial guess position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the tables, I'm sure that there are differences because I used to learn it from the Dutch nautical tables, and I'm now basically busy with the Nordish nautical tables. There's more international, but they're different. Some things you have to look up different. I want to ask Blue for something about that. I guess you in the aviator scene, you had to look up the LHA instead of the ABC tables.
Yeah, the local hour angle. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to calculate that with the ABC tables.
Yeah.
That's, for example, one thing. The other thing is with the Dutch tables, we had the height of eye and the dip correction. We had to calculate it together, and with this one, we get the dip correction, the altitude correction complete, and the dip correction, and actually the dip correction and the altitude correction is that what we had to do in the other book, calculate together, is already done.
Yeah, it is. Yep, already done. It's all in there.
So yeah, not all the tables are the same, and to explain one table or one way, it's not that easy because there are different ways because the tables are not all the same.
Yeah, and you have to go by opportunity. Like I said, if you're on a desert island where you're stationary and you have all day, that's one thing. But if you're in a sailing ship and you're moving and you got clouds, you're gonna have to be more talented. To be clear.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
But
that's exactly what the sort of thing I was wanted to get a feel for.
If you're on a sailing ship and you do not have a correct guess, you do not do your job seriously.
I mean, Tiny Captain, presumably you're charging along in your ship. What sort of speed are you doing? Sort of 20 knots or something?
Oh no! I'm more in towing and slow sailing. So
right.
8-9 knots is
right.
maximum
Okay.
I normally go.
If you're doing 20 knots, you're in such a motorboat, you could just consult your GPS.
But, yeah. But this is we're again. This is all a bit of a chat. We all know we've got GPS, and therefore it's just ridiculous,
clear,
isn't it? How easy.
And to be clear, if you could do that, you can do that with a singular prominent star like Arcturus or Spica, which are so easily identified you don't make a mistake. But you could do it with that same thing. You clock the time that crossed a given latitude or given vertical angle, and you clock the time that passed that same vertical angle while setting. And the average of that is a meridian transit. And all you got to do, because when it gets near the top, when it's going over in the arc, right, all you want to do is just find its zenith angle.
Yeah.
How high did it get? And since at that point it'll be going mostly left and right, there's no way you're going to know the time of meridian transit. You just want to know its max altitude and the time it crossed a given vertical angle going up and that same vertical angle going down.
Right.
Yeah, it's really.
And that really is the easiest, but that's if you're stationary, you got time, you can think about things, right? As opposed to what I originally said is, you could use the sun on any 3 shots, and you can, But that would be because you got to have the answer now, and you're fighting clouds. You shoot the sun when you can.
Yeah. No, good stuff, Larry. Thanks for that. That was good stuff.
Yeah, it's
but
really,
the rub
really,
is,
really hard to try to find your local noon just by watching the position of the sun. That's hard to do.
Yes,
you
that's what I was wondering. When you said it was difficult.
It'll
Sorry.
easily be a minute off or 2 minutes off one way or the other. And
Wow.
yeah, that's 120 nautical miles. You can be way out of whack.
Right,
but
that's the sort of. Go ahead.
at least then you have a good guess position and you can calculate it better.
Right. Yeah, that's all you're going to do is get a guess.
Yeah, and
it
the other
is-
thing,
it is absolutely dependent that you have a Greenwich time down to the second. So,
So how did
yeah.
So
The
how did all
Harrison
these
chronometer.
people? So how did all these people in Napoleonic times, when they didn't have a clock and they would? I mean, all the times I read these books, the way they did it was indeed to get a sighting at noon. So how the hell did they manage to navigate anywhere if they could easily be 120 miles out?
Yeah, they
with-
were.
Okay,
They
they were.
were.
Okay.
yeah,
They were-
that's the whole
Yeah,
point.
they
That's
were.
the
uh,
answer to that
Rumpus.
one.
Hence the longitude prize. The longitude X prize was such a hard question that they offered 20,000 British pounds in 1740 to say somebody better figure this shit out. And Harrison
Indeed.
came up with a clock method, and someone said that's too easy. And guess what? Occam's razor kicked right in.
Yeah, I think it was a quick. Come on.
The time that actually celestial navigation became a thing on a ship was when they invented the clock that actually wasn't disrupted by the
Right.
rolling and pitching of a ship.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean Harrison took his various clocks onto ships, and the bigger ones he just then decided, and then he just could not get the big ones to work because of the rolling, and it's only
which came up with that whole thing with the reluctance to acknowledge Harrison was not only did he come up with this ultra simple clock time, but he just made an oversized pocket watch that was
Yeah.
temperature compensated. And they
Yeah.
said, wait a minute, a pocket watch?
Yeah.
And that's all you need? He goes, yeah. And they were just reluctant to think it could be that easy.
Yeah, it was only the intervention of the king who actually meant he eventually ended up, after something like 20 years or something after having produced it, they finally coughed up the cash.
Which
Just
is
goes to-
because one of the competing methods was by one of the board's members,
That's
Mescaline,
right.
and he
That's
wanted
right.
to use something else. So he was just squashing a perfectly viable solution. And Captain Cook took his the prototype chronometer and had
Did
such
he?
success with it, testified to the king, and said, "This shit works."
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's good.
Okay.
Okay, right.
I also didn't know, but we still have Time Pulse Radio to actually check our clocks.
Yeah, the shortwave broadcast of time signals was a huge bounce. And even in geodetic surveying across North America in the late 19th century, time transfer by telegraph was a huge thing. And when the transatlantic cable was first laid across the Atlantic Ocean, one of the first things they did was a telegraph time transfer from Greenwich to Washington, D.C. And then they immediately revised Washington, D.C.'s longitude by a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I had once that my my apprentice wanted to set the GMT clock to the local time.
There was a very interesting campaign done in the 60s, early 60s, where they were using very, very sophisticated zenith sectors all around the world. And they were making their simultaneous observations of the man-made satellite. They had a large, shiny balloon that they put in orbit. And they were making these simultaneous observations. And the campaign was extensive. And one of the supply lines to these remote stations on a C-130, they would take a cesium or an atomic clock and fly it that's been set in Greenwich or, in DC. They would fly it to South Africa and drop it off and pick up the other one and fly it home. Their idea, their time transfers at the sub microsecond actually was to bring them a running clock by air.
That's impressive.
Wasn't one of the other ideas for the longitude thing to make really very, very precise observations of the phase of the moon, down to how much of which crater is lit?
Yeah, I think there was something like that. Yeah.
And then
Made
the
really
whole thing with
complicated.
lunar distances, and some of those things can get quite complicated. And back in like Captain Cook's day, to get a Greenwich time, they had tables for the eclipsing of the moons
Yes.
of Jupiter.
Yeah.
And
that was the
but
masking
again,
method, wasn't it?
yeah, and that's not hair splitting sub-second timing, but it got them enough so they could tell you where Hawaii is.
Yeah, Dog, I think that thing you're talking about with the lunar, I think, if I vaguely recall what I've read about it, I think that the calculations, though, took about 2 hours or something ridiculous, or there was something, actually calculating it took so long that, it was not very appealing.
Well, not
but for-
not in a maritime scenario, but if
No.
you came into an island where you could sit for a couple days, but yeah, in lunar distances, you can't always see the moon. And yeah, you've got trouble when the moon isn't even available during the nights.
But I have a guess for another observation. The latitude is easy to actually. The palm of your hand is about 10 degrees. So if you take that from Polaris to the horizon, then you have the latitude you can calculate with. And on the southern part is a little bit more difficult. You have to take a line from the Southern Cross and in the middle of the pointing stars a line 90 degrees of it, and find the middle point and do the
like
same.
I said, that's why you could treat Arcturus just like the sun, because it's easy and positive ID. Because misidentifying a star, that happened a lot too.
Yeah, but then you have actually your latitude, and the longitude is the time, and then you can easily make a guess. But when you need that, are you supposed to be out there already? Because you have to have a guess where you are already before you're actually out there.
Yeah. So so dealing with a challenge from a jughead like Rakia, yeah, you want to keep it to the simplest can be and no preliminary guessing. Yeah, spend all day, do a local astronoon. You got your good UTC clock. You can do it from dead scratch with very, very simplified math.
Yeah. I thought you could. I mean, I just wonder about the complications. So yeah, but you give me some great ideas there.
The complications are for the tougher scenario of you need a position now, and you can't pick when the sun is going to poke its head out of the cloud.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but the stupid thing is, as a navigator, you always know whereabouts you almost are. So you already have your guess. So what we just told you is how to get a guess out of nothing. That actually doesn't apply anytime. But in practice, it doesn't apply. But we know how to do it. But it's ridiculous to do it because we already have a guess.
Absolutely.
Right. But and Rakia's challenge is ridiculous because it came from Rakia. So he
actually, it wasn't Ruhif. I think it actually started with Ruhif saying he could do it, and then he hadn't quite allowed for all the things he had to allow. And then Rakia said because Rakia's got a boat, as we all presumably know, and then he said to him, "Okay, if I took you in my boat and then dumped you somewhere, could you do it?" And then Ruhif wasn't fully familiar with the procedures, but he got most of them right. So that was where it sort of came from. It wasn't Rakia starting off with the challenge; it came via Ruhif making a claim that he could do it, and then he he then didn't quite fill in all the things he needed to do. But yeah, he was getting there.
Yeah, absolutely, you can do it without hesitation. With no, you're blindfolded, flown for 14 hours in a plane, and dropped on an island with a sextant, table, and a clock. Yeah, it can be done in with one good day, and then very little calculation.
And if anybody wants to see it, there's a fantastic video by Science It Out. I can't remember now. He just took a picture challenge from there's some Glober guy who's giving out challenges. Here's a picture of where I am. I can't remember if it's the sun or the moon he took a picture of, and he said this is the time. And then the calculations to actually just from that information was quite considerable. And Science It Out did a fantastic video, and the maths is quite involved to get you your location. So if anyone wants to go through that, look at that. I would recommend if you want to go in the intimate of the maths, that's something I must do probably as well.
Can I just share a short story? When I started diving, I started diving in the Outer Hebrides of Scotland, and I was on a boat with my own brother. So it was me and my brother, and often the weather is really bad out there.
Mm-hmm.
And one day there was no visibility. We had no idea, like visually, no idea where we were, and the GPS failed, and at the time my brother was like in charge of the boat, and he panicked. My brother, just to say, is a former Royal Marine.
Oh,
A Marine. And he started to panic, and I had a compass, so I knew where we were. We just had to. We're in the Minch of South Uist, so all we had to do was head west. That's all. So it's quite telling, in later years, that this is the guy that, he was a Marine, but he now hates the Jews and thinks the Earth is flat.
oh my God!
And so he was shitting himself. I'm like, fucking hell, Dave. We just need to go west. That's all. And he was really panicked. And it was a really telling moment with that I knew I could visualize in my mind exactly where we were just from a compass bearing, and he was completely lost, and he was really, I've never seen him like that. He thought we were like fucking, I don't know, like lost at sea. And then I'm like, Dave, it's this way.
No, he was probably more worried that you were going to go off the edge.
Yeah, good one, George.
But it was a really telling moment that obviously myself and my brother think in very different ways. And he was lost. He was literally lost at sea, and I wasn't. I was completely confident in where we were, at least in which direction we should go to get back to shore. And it kind of broke that was the moment where the the Big Brother warship broke.
Well, getting lost at sea, of course, is quite a serious business. I mean, never forget those Bermuda Triangle flight going over the Key Islands of Florida, and they got confused about where they were, and eventually, of course, they ran out of fuel and then landed in the sea and all died. So,
well, yeah, it's not. I mean, the
same in the boat, but if you're an aeroplane, it's a bit serious.
No, they didn't land in the sea.
Yeah,
The aliens got them. Damn it!
Oh, right.
It's story is
So I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad that if you actually look at the Bermuda Triangle, and examine how many planes and boats and whatever have gone missing in the Bermuda Triangle, it's not any different from any other part of the sea.
No, it really
Yeah,
isn't.
there are planes and
It's a little bit more with
I think it's a little bit more like that.
ships, but that's because of the volcanic reaction underneath the water, why the water density is getting a lot less. And if you go there with a ship, you're
but
you go a lot
there is-
deeper, and sometimes it's deeper than you actually expected. So your hull will flood with water and sink. That's the whole
Yeah,
thing about the Bermuda Triangle.
But you can't
They've identified many.
you can't comment. You can't comment because you're from Holland, and that But there is one thing that has been a constant factor with the triangle, is that that if pilots or ship navigators get off course, is that there is a thing where they get fucked up just with the way that the coastlines are. But that's about it. It's not a fucking.
You were trying to say something, Larry?
I just wanted to add really quickly that there are flights and ships going over the Bermuda Triangle right now, all the time, as we speak. And as opposed to what many conspiracy theorists and flat earthers will tell you, that did you know that all flights have to avoid the Bermuda Triangle? Nobody flies over they make absolute blanket
Really?
statements like that, and it's not
Do
true.
they? I haven't heard them say that. Bloody hell!
I've heard it several times. There are no flights over the Bermuda Triangle, like it's a fact.
Yeah, just like when they say that the military dictates all aircraft routes. They only give you certain routes because the military has to approve them all, or NASA has to approve them all, right? As opposed to you can't just go GPS direct when you're at 49,000 feet.
But I think
the only thing we are wrong for the Bermuda Triangle is that you have an anomaly in the water density, so your ship can.
Yeah, isn't
go
there weird
lower.
stuff that isn't there a great wad of underlying methane holding calcites or something, and then they decompose rapidly, and then that causes a huge bubble to come up to the top, reducing the density of the water, and actually that can sink ships.
It's Atlantis.
It has to do with the volcanic reaction underneath the waterline. Yes.
Just to underline the point that I made about the triangle, is that when you look into it, there actually isn't any stats at all that support this area being some kind of.
I'm not. I haven't researched myself, but I thought there was a slight increase there above your average.
Well, if there is, from what I understand, I mean, there's a famous case. I forget the exact case where the pilot misunderstood the coastline that he was flying along for the coastline that was much further west, and it is perhaps
You're referring to the classic, the classic, the five aeroplane squadron that all died. That one. You're referring to where the pilot got confused about Key West versus some other islands. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. So he thought he was just following the not going off instruments, not going off.
He decided he recognised the series of islands that he was familiar with in Key West, which was about 300 miles to the west, and these are the same islands. And he, from a different angle, they looked a bit like it, and he then got all agitated, and then, as you say, he didn't trust his instruments, and then suffered.
Yeah, so it's well, happily not for them, but it's an example of you can't trust your own senses. If your instruments and your measurements are telling you something, then fucking hell.
But if you're a flat earther, if you're a flat earther, certainly you can. There's nothing better than human senses, according to them.
I suspect the Blues got some stories about having to trust his instruments. I mean, Bob, the science guy, has got some stories about how he felt he ought to do something, and then his instruments told him something else, and he decided to follow his instruments. I presume that pilots have this experience.
Sometimes you need to be. Sometimes a human being needs to be told which way is up and which way is down.
When I was on ski,
it's not intuitive.
Yeah, so I was skiing. This is about 20 years ago, and I had this amazing fall, and it went I fell into some deep soft snow, and I was it was all dark, and I couldn't actually work out which way up was. It was amazing. I thought, this is ridiculous. You think this is it's something you know for a thing? Like, just lying down there face down in the snow, I didn't know where bloody up was, and it's only by sort of digging myself a bit I thought, oh yeah, there I am. It's surprising how difficult knowing where up is if you're not orientated normally.
Or skiing in fog or a deep blizzard, you lose down.
Right.
So the reason I remember, Rumpus, the context to what it was, flat earthers, and there was a couple of them saying it. They're reinforcing each other's. They were saying, you can't fly over the Bermuda Triangle. Nobody flies over the Bermuda Triangle because that's where all the rockets go. You would discover all the rocket graveyard, that all the rockets that supposedly go into space, really they crash off the coast of Florida there.
Speaking of rockets, answer me this: if the Earth is flat, not an infinite sort of plane, it obviously has to have an edge. So why do we spend all this money shooting rockets upward when all we have to do is transport them by rail to the edge and then just kick the damn things off and let them float into orbital position?
You're testing
well, there's no such thing as orbit.
Because nautical navigation, the edge should be at Greenwich.
But there's no gravity, George, so you can't have orbits anyway.
Right. No gravity, no orbit.
Well, there's probably a long
and
invisible tether.
You wouldn't want a satellite. You'd want a webcam on an incredibly long USB cable.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, and it could double as a tether, if you make it strong enough.
There's one anomaly at sea that I don't think is in the Bermuda Triangle. I think it's well outside it to the north. Or I don't know exactly where the Bermuda Triangle is, because it's like asking where exactly Loch Ness Monster is, isn't it?
Well, Bermuda Triangle is
the
above the
island of
Bahamas.
Bermuda.
It's above the Bahamas, next to Florida.
Well, yeah, it's kind of southeast corner of the contiguous states of the USA, kind of in the Atlantic, but I don't know exactly. Yeah. But it's like, the Loch Ness Monster is
Bermuda.
roughly
The island
Loch
of
Ness.
Bermuda is the. Sorry, I was just going to say the island of Bermuda is one of the triangle points.
Yeah, it's the top. The triangle's slightly off, having a flat base, isn't it? And then the Bermuda's the top right, and then the triangle sort of
Yeah,
slightly.
it is just an area in the Atlantic where there's a lot of underwater volcanic behavior.
So years and years ago, there were two films came out the same year. There was Armageddon and Deep Impact, which were an utterly ridiculous load of Hollywood shite and a load of Hollywood, respectively. They're both about sending crews up to blow up incoming comets that were about to smash the Earth. But Armageddon was just ridiculous the whole way through.
Oh yes, because there's
And
there's even more rules in oil platforms than actually space.
yeah, so it's easier to train oil rig workers to go to space than it is to train astronauts to operate a drill, apparently. And somebody punches somebody out while they're both wearing spacesuits, and scenes
I've
like that.
forgotten that.
But
just I won't take long. I won't take long. Can I just say, I saw that film when I was working on an oil rig with a bunch of rig workers, right, offshore in the North Sea, and it was an uproar. They're all like, "What the fuck are they doing now? What? Jesus fuck! You can't do that. You can't. What? What the fuck?" It was just mayhem, and yeah. So just to give you an idea of what actual rig workers think of that film, I hope that.
How do
makes
you
sense.
think I looked at the movie Captain Phillips?
a bit like actual martial artists looking at martial arts movies, and
Yeah,
actual soldiers looking at
the
actual
movie
war
Captain
movies.
Phillips was so not true and so off the topic. It was bad.
Can
It's
we
like
get
on-
back to the guy that was talking? Was it dog?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, in Deep Impact, big spoiler here, but the attempt to destroy the comet doesn't entirely work, and part of it comes down in the ocean. And it comes down off Cape Hatteras. Now, I don't know how famous Cape Hatteras is to people in like Tennessee or Kansas or Oregon. I'd never heard of Cape Hatteras.
Me
I had to
neither.
had to look it up on a map, and I thought, if there's a place just south of it, I know the name of. There's a place just north of it, I know the name of. I'd never heard of Cape Hatteras. Thought it was a weird choice, but whatever. Then I discovered this website called Impact Earth. Imperial College London has this site where you can put in the dimensions and composition and impact angle and speed of object hitting Earth, and you can say whether it's hitting crystalline rock or sedimentary rock or water, and if water, how deep, and how far away you are, and it will calculate the effects at your location. And I played around with it and sort of how big a rock could hit London without fraying me, and questions like this. Then I remembered Deep Impact, and I put in, the size of this thing splashing down in water this far off the coast and so on. And the scene when that comet comes down, this huge wave comes into New York. And I got the calculations for it, and the actual results, it was more like the nuke dream from Terminator 2. Like there would have been this incredible ball of white light away to the southeast. Everything flammable in New York would have burst into flames. All the windows would have been blown. Sorry, the earthquake would have shattered everything except the best framed wooden buildings. Then the air blast would have flattened everything except the best built steel framed concrete buildings. And then the wave would have come in and sort of 10 meters high and put out the fires. I thought, yeah, well, what did you expect from Hollywood, right? It's Hollywood, of course. It was complete bullshit. They wanted 100-meter waves. They put in a 100-meter wave. Years go by, and someone is developing a game which I don't think ever got made. I didn't hear much of it after the initial rush, which was kind of like Elite, going from planet to planet, trading and occasionally fighting off pirates. Except this was going to be early 20th century tramp freighter, going up and down the East Coast and around the Caribbean and down into South America and out to the islands and stuff. And we had various people looking into aspects of this. What goods were actually produced? When were they? What time of year were they available? What were the currents like at different times of year? And I was trying to plot all the nav routes, because obviously, if there is a circular current in the Gulf, you want to go with the current, not against it, and stuff like this. I was looking at all these navigation charts, and I found this note, which said that ships' compass readings may deviate up to 5 degrees from true when crossing Hatteras Canyon. So the reason you reminded me of it was, like, talk about an anomaly. What the heck is down there? There's something down in that canyon.
Oh, yeah. I if I'm reading this correctly, when I was diving on off South Uist in the Western Isles, I used to wear a wrist compass so that I knew where I was, because I was at that time I was on scuba, and I didn't have any kind of line to the surface or anything. So it helped me, like, in my head, know where I was. And there was like a really iron rich rock formation on South Uist, and I ended up like fucking. I thought I was in the right place, and I was half a kilometer from where I thought I was.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Half a kilometer is a long way to swim.
Well, not if you were as young and fit as I was at the time. Now it would kill me. But it wasn't that bad at the time. But yeah, it was. I'd always remember that. It was really surprising to me. And I am pretty good at navigation, and it completely and utterly fucked me. If there's something that happens that throws the compass off, it really does fucking send you off. So.
I got an announcement, everybody. I don't know if you guys have heard, but SpaceX is in trouble.
Is it?
Yeah, P-Brains has issued a challenge to SpaceX to launch their rocket, at the very center of the North Pole.
Mm-hmm.
I can see reasons they might not want to do that.
Well, number one, who's P-Brain in their estimation? Number two, that would probably melt a lot of ice if they did that.
Well,
yeah, melting the station from which you're launching the rocket might just cause parts of it to fall against the rocket as it launches. And you launch from near the equator, because near the equator you get sort of 400 meters per second east velocity for free before you even light the fuse.
Well, the reason for launching from the North Pole is to prove once and for all that the Earth spins.
How?
Because they're out of the inertial reference frame.
Well, you know what? Nobody is going to spend any money to satisfy a P-Brain, ultimatum.
Especially SpaceX. I mean, why would they want to spend millions of dollars to launch from there to satisfy a flat earther?
Well, no, nobody. Like, just like when they bitch about SpaceX having a fisheye camera, looking at the engine bell. It's like they didn't put the camera there for the shape of the Earth. They want to inspect the engine compartment. So it's a wide angle camera. And then of course the flat earthers say, oh, look, it's a bullshit wide angle camera. Well, the camera has a job, right? Oh, the weather balloon has a fisheye lens. Yeah, because it's looking for weather data. It's not looking to make Nathan Oakley look bad, right? Yeah, cameras have a task and a job, and you put the right camera for the right job. Just like you launch your space vehicle. If you want to go into a polar orbit, yeah, I suppose launching from the North Pole makes, some sort of sense, but so does any launch platform aim due north.
Yeah, proving the shape of the Earth never makes it into the budget for some reason. They kind of figured that out a while ago. But here's something that they found out that I saw yesterday. Check this out. The whole why don't they just turn the Hubble around and zoom in on the Earth? Why don't they just? So the James Webb telescope was just recently deployed, and apparently it's illegal for them to turn it around and point it at the Earth. It's for legal reasons, and they didn't explain it very well exactly why, but this came out yesterday.
I'll tell you. Actually, I'll tell you. It probably is actually illegal, because the technology that Hubble is based on, and this is, you can look this up. It's not my opinion. I'm just telling you. The technology that Hubble was based on was from spy satellites, and part of the reason why there was a problem with the optics with Hubble was because when they got to the end and said, "Can we test the optics on your fucking U.S. military test bed?" They said no. There is a story that's in the news, but in the astro community, I used to work at the Royal Observatory in Edinburgh. They said no, and so the mirror wasn't tested properly because of that.
But there's all sorts of commercial satellites photographing every freaking country out there.
Well, just let me finish my point. So, so they found out after the fact that the mirror wasn't, they sent it up and it wasn't ground properly. So they fixed it with reading glasses. So, it's I don't know. I've said this before, but I mean, the case is that you've got right now, and this is in the public domain. You've got a fleet of Hubble-like spy satellites, about, I don't know, like a dozen to 20, just like Hubble.
Not including Space Force.
Yeah. Look it up. You've got a huge number of spy satellites that are just like Hubble, pointing at Earth, right? And so when the James Webb came around, when I just said I used to work at the Royal Observatory in Edinburgh, and I actually personally know guys that built some of the cameras for the James Webb, right? So believe me when I tell you that when they went back to the American defense and said, and that's who they have to go to. They said, what we're thinking about is like a petal design. It was a mirror that we can fold and expand in space. Do you think that's possible? And they said, yes, it is. And they're like, well, doesn't seem like you've thought about that for very long. And they're like, well, we've done it.
I need a second, John.
XKCD has,
Shout out to Gary Little for a $5 super chat. Says, just saying thanks. This gives me a place to go and talk when my dog tells me to shut up. Thanks, Gary.
Randall
That's
Monroe
good.
of XKCD has actually done a what if for his first book. There is a what if volume 2 coming out.
That's
one of the questions he was answering was what would happen if we turned Hubble around, and he went into quite a lot of detail about the problem with exposure times and just how fast the damn thing is moving relative to Earth's surface, and how to get a picture you would have to actually swing the whole Hubble scope to track a single point on the surface as you went past it to get that photograph.
Well, yeah, okay, I can answer that as well. But I'd just like to echo that super chat. I think that's a really great thing that someone is enjoying Blue Stream. That they give a super chat like that. That's good. Yeah. So back to the back thing. So my point is that you've got the James Webb, and it costs a huge amount of money, and it took a very long time to get into orbit, and then send it off to the fucking Lagrange point. But bear in mind that there is a fleet. There is no doubt about this. There is a fleet of James Webb type telescopes right now in operation, pointed at Earth. That's not a conspiracy theory. I can tell you honestly, really, that's actually the case. So we sort of balk at the James Webb. Oh my God, how much is it going to cost? Look at the defense budget of the United States or the UK. Fuck's sake.
Well, look at the defense budget, but you can't look at the black budget.
Yeah, well, that's even worse. And we don't know about that. You know what would be an interesting thing to talk about on this channel, if we have some interested people. You know what I'd like to talk about is the Tic Tac. Does anyone know about that? The unidentified aerial phenomenon that's been acknowledged by the Pentagon, and Blue's a pilot, and he would have some kind of input on this as well. What is that? I mean, it's up to Blue. I don't want to introduces a topic that he doesn't want to talk about. But it's
Tech. All of those Navy unidentified flying objects, yeah, they've all been explained away or completely diminished, and only the conspiracy theorists are taking it out of proportion. Particularly the one that looks like a duck, flies like a duck. It's a duck.
yeah, but
and then,
the thing
yeah,
that,
yeah, and the
the
Navy
thing that,
just said, "Oh, we don't know what it is," and let it go at that. Well, now there's a cover up. No, there's
yeah, but
there's no.
the thing that has stayed with me is the testimony of Commander David Fravor. He's a Top Gun. I think it was a Top Gun instructor. His eyewitness testimony. And of course, one person can be wrong. You know, I mean, fuck's sake. But and there's a lot of things about it that are quite eye-catching. There appears to be a radar return from like saying that this object descended from 80,000 feet to sea level in a quarter second, multiple times. You know, it's really puzzling. But I would I don't know if Blue's listening. When I'm not fucking really hooked up in this. I don't really think about it like day to day. But it's one thing that I just find really interesting. So
Just going back to finish the Deep Impact story, having found Hatteras Canyon on the charts, I noticed that Hatteras Canyon is being a canyon. It's a whole lot deeper than everything around it. And I checked. I went back to once I realized why the name Hatteras was familiar, I went back to Impact Earth and put in the exact same parameters. I had to go back, watch the film again just to get the size and the place and direction. The exact same parameters, but I set the water depth that is the actual depth in Hatteras Canyon, not just the depth kind of that far-ish off the shore. It turns out that the people who made that film chose the one spot off the whole eastern seaboard of the USA where they could drop the comet close enough to shore for the scene with the journalist and her father on the beach, and still have the comet land in deep enough water for what they did to New York in that film to actually be correct. Because it hit water the depth of the canyon, there wouldn't be the huge flash. It wouldn't flash ignite the city. The earthquake would be unpleasant, but nothing like devastating. And the tsunami really would be that sodding big.
yeah, that's really interesting to know. I just want to say to you, how do you identify yourself? Mr. Guy. Do you have well, like online? How do you say your name is or whatever?
Oh, I usually don't.
Well, Mr. Man, you're obviously a really nice guy, and it seems like you're not that savvy with how things go here, and I would strongly suggest that you've got you're a nice guy, you've got good things to say, but if you want them to be heard, I would do it here, for instance, and not go to where we have just come from, on Jose's channel. If you want to actually have a reasonable kind of conversation, it's not going to happen. If you want to do that, come here, I would say. Just some sort of life advice from me. It can be pretty fucking awful in the flat Earth arena. Just saying. You know what I mean? Just it'd be lovely for you to continue to contribute to this discussion, but if you frequent somewhere else, then you just think, fuck this. I don't want to be abused, and you just disappear. So just be careful about where you go. That's what I'm saying. Does anyone else echo that sentiment? Mm. I think it would be good, actually, Blue, if you don't mind, just to talk about what I just said about just to warn somebody new about how poisonous it could be in this arena, and just give some wholesome advice. Do you know what I mean? Well, I think
Yeah.
we got this guy. We got this guy called Dog, and he said he's new here, and he's obviously an intelligent and normal guy who isn't hardened to the reality of engaging in this arena, and I could really benefit from some fatherly some fatherly.
Yeah, Dog's been around for a long time. He's
Has he?
maybe new to this
So that
server,
was
but he's
needed.
not new around.
Yeah. He's not
Oh,
new
is
at
he fucking taking the piss out of me?
Probably.
Is that what?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I'm
Oh my
thinking.
god.
I'm
But
thinking.
still, but still, it's good advice for people who just come in to actually be careful with the harsh other side that tries to yeah deal with us.
So, dog, are you actually just a cunt? That's a shame. That is a shame.
All right, guys, we're getting out of here. Thanks to everybody. I appreciate you coming. Have a good evening. I doubt I'll do this again tomorrow night, but probably Thursday. So, anybody got anything else before I close the YouTube down?
Just thanks, Blue.
Yeah, just thanks.
All right, good enough. All right, good night, everybody. We will see you the next time.